For those of you that want to learn how to get literally 5 listings in the next 30 days, you are in the right spot. We are going to be talking about that right here. And let me get my screen set up properly so I can see all the Q&A on my live webinar. Guys, my name is Michael Hellickson. We're going to rock and roll this. Grab a pen and paper. I want to start by sharing this with you. I had a young man come to me a couple of years ago, back in 2019, and he says, hey, I want to be the #1 real estate agent on planet Earth like you were. How do I do that? And I said, well, what are you willing to do? And he says, well, I'll do whatever it takes. And I said, well, that's great. I can appreciate that. But everybody says that right until they find out what it freaking takes. And so what I'm going to share with you guys today is what I shared with him and how this young man, literally at 19 years old, as a brand new real estate agent, listed 97 homes in his first year. Let me start with this. Guys, if you want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, you need a guide who's been to the top of Mount Everest before. If you agree with that, give me an amen in the chat. And here's the reason I bring this up. There are a lot of people out there that want to tell you how to sell a lot of real estate, and they themselves have not sold a lot of real estate. In fact, a lot of them have never sold any real estate at all. And that drives me absolutely bonkers. And I'm not going to mention any names. Stumpf, Buffini. I mean, oh my gosh, there's so many people out there. Sorry, the Tourette's kicks in sometimes. Got a little sneeze going on here, but there's so many of these guys out there that want to charge you all this money to teach you how to sell real estate. And at the end of the day, they themselves, like I said, have not even sold any or not much at all. So for that reason, let me just give you the credibility behind the message today. My name is Michael Hellickson. My claim to fame is I literally closed. When I was the #1 agent on planet Earth, I was closing 120 to 180 transactions every single month at a time when #2 and #3 combined were doing about half that. I was carrying 750 listings in active and pending status. And I did that with a team of just 16 real estate agents. So as you can see, the per agent productivity was through the roof. And I'm going to show you how they and I and this young man have been able to, and by the way, so many of our coaching clients all over the country have been able to duplicate these results by simply duplicating the systems and the habits that we put in place. And guys, it works. It ain't sexy, but it works. And if you need to make money right now, this is what you need to do. So this young man came to me, says he'd do whatever it takes. And I said, listen, kid, you need to do whatever it takes. And here's what it's going to take. I told him first he's got to hire one of our coaches, which he did. He hired a club wealth coach. And he didn't have any money. He just threw a credit card down and hoped that he would be able to make the money to pay that credit card off. But I had confidence in him because I knew this young man was capable of developing the right habits. And so then I told him, I said, I want you to gather all your little buddies up because he had a bunch of little buddies. He had like 5 or 6 of these little buddies that he wanted to start his own real estate team with. They all had their licenses. I said, great. January 1st, 2022, that's going to be day 1 for you and your business. You guys are all supposed to show up. 6:30 in the morning, I told them to show up. How many do you think showed up? 1. It was this young man. His name was Austin. All right. So Austin shows up 6:30 in the morning. As you can imagine, he's pretty bummed out. He's pretty disappointed that none of his buddies showed up. But he decides, you know what, I'm going to make the calls anyway. So the goal was that we were going to do some script practice, role play, get him started, get his team started that morning and have him call expired listings at 8 o'clock, right? Well, again, it was just him that showed up. So we gave him the scripts. Coach role played some scripts with him. And then guess what? He pounded the phones and he stuck it out for 8 hours. He was originally going to do 6 hours of calls that day. He ended up doing 8 hours of calls. And I'm here to tell you, in those 8 hours, guys, this kid butchered every call he made. He was terrible. I mean, this kid, he was horrible on the phone. He butchered the scripts. He was awkward. He sounded like he was still in puberty. And yet in 8 hours, he managed to set 12 listing appointments. Now, these 12 listing appointments, guys, he went out to go on these 12 listing appointments, and believe it or not, 11 of them showed up. And that's crazy good. Usually you're going to get about a 40% no-show rate. But every single one of 11 out of the 12 appointments showed up. And he went on those 11 appointments, and guess how many listings he got? 0. He got 0 listings out of those 12 appointments, or the 11 that showed up. And guys, he was pretty disappointed. He was pretty bummed out. He put all this work into it and he's thinking to himself, man, is this really what my career is going to look like? And he comes to us, his coach and I, and by the way, at Club Wealth, all of our coaches sell more real estate than the people they coach. And so his coach at the time was out of New Jersey, and this kid was in Seattle. And he says, is this really what my life is going to be like as a real estate agent? Because this freaking sucks, right? And he was right. It sucks, right? And so we told him, we said, yeah, this is what it's going to look like. And he said, well, what do I do next? We said, well, go do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day and keep doing it every day for the next ever. And we'll see how it goes. And this kid actually did it. He showed up every day, came to the office. He was in the office by 6:30 every morning. By 8 o'clock, he was on the phones. He made 4 hours of calls every single day for the rest of the year. And in his first 12 months as a real estate agent, he literally closed, closed 97. He took 97 listings that year. He ended up making just over $700,000 his first year. Average sales price, $600,000. Average commission to the listing office on a 12-month listing. By the way, these were almost all on 12-month listings. And almost all of them he took at 5% to the listing office. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should charge in your commissions. You guys can charge whatever you want, but I can tell you this, you're probably not charging enough. And the reason is you don't see enough value in what you do. And so what I'm going to show you at the end of our time together today, and we'll be together for just under 2 hours today, but at the very end of our time together today, I'm going to show you how to literally double your commissions and have your clients love you for it. Okay. Remember this, your clients don't care what you make. They care what they make. And so if you're bringing enough value, they'll pay you for that value. People don't have a hard time paying for value. They have a hard time paying for things that are of no value or little value. All right. That being said, there are only 3 things that are going to move the needle in your business. And as we taught these 3 things to this kid, he realized that if he could do those 3 things every single day and make them habits every single day, guess what he'd be able to do? He would be able to make money beyond his wildest dreams. And he did exactly that. Now, I will tell you that in his second year selling real estate, this young man literally listed 124 homes. His third year in the business was last year, by the way. He listed 168 homes. Again, same numbers, just over $600,000 average sales price. And on the vast majority of them, he charged 5% to the listing office and got it. And people were happy to pay it. And he's got tons of happy clients and they freaking love him. In fact, they want to adopt him. They want him to marry their daughters. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, this kid is everybody's favorite real estate agent, right? And so you can do that too. And so what it's going to start with is habits. I want you to write this down. Habits dictate outcomes. Habits dictate outcomes. Write that down. One more time. Habits dictate outcomes. If you have the right systems and you apply to those systems the right habits, it's game over. You'll make money. I'll give you an example. People ask me, well, Michael, what's more important, motivation or discipline? And the key is discipline. I can take the least motivated person in the world, and if I give them the right discipline, if I put them in the right habits, they're going to make money. But I can take the most motivated person in the world, and if they've got bad habits, they're going to be broke. And I guarantee there are people on this call that fit that description, right? You're super motivated, but you're not in the right habits. And so you got all this energy going in the wrong directions, and it's not making you any money. Well, let's fix that. So what are the 3 things that are going to move the needle in your business? Write these down. It's very simple. Number 1, lead generation. Number 2 is lead follow-up. Number 3 is lead conversion. Okay. That's it. Those are the only 3 things that are going to move the needle in your business, and everything else is noise. All the social media posting. By the way, I tell you right now, the vast majority of the people that are on this call right now are not making a bunch of money on social media. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm just going to post stuff online and people are going to send me business. I'm going to be able to point at stuff on TikTok and make all this money. I got news for you. Unless you're a gorgeous 20-something-year-old and, have everything going for you, I got news. It's probably not going to happen. For the rest of us mortal humans, guess what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to pound the phones. We're going to have to talk to people. We're going to have to go on appointments. We're going to have to work our butts off, at least at first, until we can afford to hire other people to do the lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion for us, okay? Now, the good news is, If you work hard enough, if you are disciplined enough for long enough, then guess what? You'll make enough money that if you want to, you can hire other people to do these things for you. And by the way, what makes even more money than going out and getting listings is going out and getting recruits if you're in the right model. And by this, I mean, if you're in a rev share model brokerage, and I'd love to see what brokerages are you guys with? Type in your brokerage in the chat. I want to see what companies you guys are with. Okay. But I'll tell you this, if you're in a downline revenue share model brokerage, like an EXP, Real, LPT, some of these companies, right? A lot of these companies offer incentives to their agents to recruit people to the company, right? I see we got an LPT agent in here. That's an example. I see a couple of EXP agents. Those are great examples, right? And by the way, this whole rev share model thing, it started with Keller Williams back in the day, and it wasn't rev share for them, it was profit share. Gary Keller came up with a great idea. What he said was, hey, look, instead of us going out and recruiting a bunch of agents, hiring recruiters and hiring assistants for them and all the staff we need and all that, why don't we just pay the agents we already have? Why don't we just pay them to recruit for us, right? And so that's where Keller Williams came out with profit share. And they said, look, we'll just share the profit from the company with the agents. It was a revolutionary idea. It got everybody excited, and EXP quickly became the fastest growing company on planet Earth in terms of real estate brokerages. It went very, very well for them, and they dominated for almost 2 decades, okay? Dominated the industry, right? Well, guess what? Then came along a guy named Glenn Sanford. Glenn started a company called EXP. Some of you are with EXP. And Glenn said, hey, look, this whole profit share thing, it didn't turn out as well as everybody thought it was going to. There really wasn't enough money coming down to the agents because, first of all, it wasn't very transparent. And so these operating principles, the OPs for these offices, they could run their car through there or their phone through their profit and loss and not leave a lot of profit left for the agents. And so it just wasn't a great model. So it was a great idea in theory, but in practice, it just didn't quite work as well as he thought. So what he said was, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we create a revenue share model instead? And so we'll just give them a percentage of the top line revenue. It's entirely transparent. It'll make it so they make more money. We're going to get rid of brick and mortar. So we're going to save a bunch of money by not having brick and mortar offices. And most of that money is going to go right back into that rev share pool. Dude, let me tell you, great model, great move, dominated the market for the next decade, right? I mean, just crushed it. And EXP just exploded. Okay, well, guess what? Today, the 5 fastest growing brokerage models out there, the 5 fastest growing brokerages out there, every single one of them. Now, I'm talking about organically growing. I'm not talking about Compass where they're buying the competition, right? Where they're growing through mergers and acquisition. I'm talking about organic growth where the culture in the company is driving the growth, okay? 5 fastest growing companies, all rev share model companies. And I noticed that Karen is with LPT. Karen, congratulations. You happen to be with the single fastest growing brokerage in history, in recorded history. Okay. And that is LPT. And so that being said, and I'm not here to advocate for any particular brokerage. Okay. At Club Wealth, we work with people from every different brokerage out there. I simply want to illustrate that rev share has become the model to be part of. And by the way, along with that, each of these companies, Keller Williams included, each of these companies that I've mentioned, they all have what are called a cap, which means that you only pay your company a certain amount of money every year, and then you're 100% with that company going forward. And you just pay a small transaction fee after that. At Keller Williams, you pay $21,000, right? So let's say you're an 80-20 split, and then you're paying, and then you get to the point where you've paid them $21,000. Now you don't have a split anymore. Now you're 100% and you just pay a little transaction fee. EXP, I think, is $16,000. I think Real is $12,000. LPT, you can get as low as $5,000. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you're with a brokerage that does not have a cap, you need to reconsider what you're doing right now, because if you're going to grow beyond 25 transactions a year, in fact, really, if you're going to grow beyond 10 transactions a year, you want to be somewhere that has a cap. Otherwise, you're going to be paying your brokerage way too much money, okay? So that being said, you combine a cap with revenue share, all of a sudden you've got models that favor the agents and not the company. And by the way, both do better, right? The agent and the company do better. Why? Because the agents are making more money. They're more excited about being there. They're out doing more business. And all of a sudden now they're recruiting other people into that model, and it grows like crazy. So when we talk about lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion, We need to do it in two ways. We need to do it with consumers, right, to get buyers and sellers. And then we need to do lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion on the recruiting side. So the consumer side, that's how we pay our bills today. The recruiting side, that's how we make a fortune downstream. I'll give you a great example of this. I got four very good friends. Shout out to my buddies, Jay Kinder, Mike Reese, Albie Stasic, and Curtis Johnson. Four of the best guys I know. Super smart guys. I mean, these are the OGs of real estate, right? All four of them. By the way, if you know any of those guys, type them into the chat. I want to know who you guys know. Say hi to them for me if you talk to them. But four super great guys, super intelligent. And let me tell you something about those four guys. All of them have made over $4 million in a single year just in revenue share. That's for inviting people to join their company, guys. That is insane. And by the way, I know I got another buddy, super good guy. Some of you might know him. His name is Brent Gove. Brent, north of $12 million in a year. Are you freaking kidding me? Guys, you have to understand this about our industry because here's the deal. If you're not a part of one of those models, you're missing out on huge, I mean, ducats of cash. It's massive. All right. That being said, let's come back to lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion on the consumer side. So let's talk about how are we going to get more listings and buyers. I'm going to focus on listings though and why. Write this down. You probably heard it before, but I want you to write it down anyway. You got to list to last, okay? You want to make a ton of money in this business, you got to list some homes, okay? And if you're going to work with buyers, and some people are more uniquely suited to work with buyers than with sellers, and that's fine, but you still want to be with a company or a team or an organization that is very listing dominant. Why is that? Because listing dominant teams control the listings. When you control the listings, you control the marketplace, and now you get the buyers for free. So instead of paying Zillow 35, 45% or whatever for that buyer lead, guess what? You're getting better buyer leads for free. You're not competing with other people with it. You can follow up with them however you want. You don't have Zillow breathing down your neck and listening to your calls with their AI and deciding who the best agents on your team is and trying to kife the best agents on your team. Instead, you've got full control. You're not competing with as many agents for that business because guess what? They came in through a sign call or through an ad call or through some of your marketing. Now it's your buyer on your listing. You have a better chance of double ending transactions and you're not paying the massive referral fees. Guys, I'm telling you right now, you got to control the listings or you got to be on a team or in a platform that does. All right, that said, what we do for lead generation, and by the way, we always do it in this order, right? So the first thing we have to master in our business is lead generation. These three things need to make up 90% of your day. And I would be willing to bet that the vast majority of people watching this right now are not spending 90% of their day on those three things. In fact, I'll bet most of you are spending less than 10% of your day on those three things. That to me is tragic, okay? And I'll tell you why, because all the other stuff is noise. All the other stuff you're doing, you can pay somebody a very, very low amount of money per hour to do it for you. In fact, write this down. If you don't have an assistant, you are one, okay? Because guess what you're doing? You're doing minimum wage tasks when you could pay somebody else to do that. In fact, you could pay less than minimum wage by hiring VAs overseas, which, by the way, we have hired thousands and thousands of VAs and ISAs overseas over the years, and we've got hundreds of them working for us today. And I will tell you what, they are fantastic. Now, is it true that a lot of those roles are going to get replaced with AI? Yeah, it's already happening. In fact, we're replacing about 4 out of 5 of those roles with AI as we speak. Now, we're not letting go of good people. We're just reassigning them to other things. But as we have attrition, and by the way, we're slowing down on recruiting on that side because we're able to replace a lot of those roles with AI, which increases our profit margin and gives us a more consistent end product at the end of the day. That being said, ISAs are a lot tougher to replace. Everybody asks me, Michael, how's voice AI doing today? The reality is, guys, we right now we have anywhere from we're probably right around 150 people making calls every day, right? Between my company, our son, and our daughter's companies, we've got all these ISAs that work for us, and we spent over $1.5 million on voice AI. I can't get it to beat the live ISAs that are well trained. Now, is there gonna come a time where it will? Maybe, that's possible. But for now, what we found is old school ISAs pounding the phone. Guess what? They're way outperforming from an ROI standpoint. They're way outperforming the voice AI. Again, do I think that'll change? Very likely it will, but not today. And you can't make outbound calls with AI anyway. We got laws in the United States that prohibit that. So do I think that we're ever going to see a time, at least in the conceivable near future where we're not going to have ISAs? Probably not. Okay. So there's still a ton of money to be in because guess what? Nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do lead generation. Nobody wants to pick up the phone and make phone calls, right? But again, like I said, you can do it for a period of time, make enough money that you can hire these ISAs to do it. And you can pay them like $4 an hour, $5 an hour, plus maybe $10 per appointment that shows up and another $10 for every listing you take. You start using that model. All of a sudden, guys, you're cooking with gas, you're making money, and you don't have to do all the lead generation phone calls. And by the way, there's over 2,000 ways to generate leads in real estate today. I don't have time to tell you about all of them. I will tell you about my 5 favorites for people that are not making a ton of money yet. So that being said, what I need to know is I need to know how many transactions did you do in your best year? If you guys could type that into the chat for me, I want to know who is on the call today. Okay. And so it would really help me so that I can tailor the conversation to who's here. Type into the chat. How many transactions did you close in your best year? Okay. I see I got one person typing 21 in so far. And by the way, that's fantastic. By the way, if your number is 0, that's okay. That helps me out too, because then I know I've got people that are brand new in the business. And okay, so I got 5, 21, 31. Oh, this is good. This is very helpful. Okay. Keep going. I got 9. Okay. Got a lot of what we call tier 1. Tier 1 is 0 to 25 transactions per year. So far, that's most of the people on the call. Tier 2 is where, like Sonia, for example, you're in tier 2 at 25 to 25 to 75 transactions a year. Look at that. I got a couple more tier 2s on. Okay, that's really helpful for me. 10 transactions started in October of 22. Okay, good, good. All right, so let me share this with you then. In tiers 1 and tier 2, okay, tier 1 is 0 to 25 transactions a year. Tier 2 is 25 to 75. In those first 2 tiers, guys, we have more time than money. If you agree with me on that, just give me a little head nod sitting there in your living room, right? Okay, guys, I'll tell you right now, end of the day, we don't want to do things for lead generation when we're doing less than 75 transactions a year. We don't do things that cost a lot of money. We're not going to go out and buy Zillow leads when we don't already have a bunch of money coming in. It doesn't make any sense. It's a really low ROI lead source. So my return on my investment is very low with Zillow leads. So I do things that cost very little money and have high return. In other words, I'm going to make a lot of money on them, but I don't have to spend a lot of money to get them. I just have to take a little bit of my time. So here's the big 5 that we're going to do for that. Okay. So write these down. These are 5 things that any one of these things, if you did them for 20 hours a week, you could easily make whatever the average sales price is in your market in annual gross commission income. I'll give you a great example. I love that. She's like, I got to share this. I'm also a high school English teacher. I love it. By the way, you're not part-time real estate. You're dual career. Okay. Never say you're a part-time real estate agent. You're dual career. Okay. It makes a big difference. Now, that being said, if your average sales price in your market is $500,000, okay, I'm going to show you how to make $500,000 in annual gross commission income by simply putting 20 hours a week into any one of these 5 things. And then I'm going to go through these 5 things. I'm going to show you how to maximize each one of them. Okay. I'm going to make this very simple. Write these down. FSBOs, expireds, cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence. FSBOs, expireds, cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence. I'll give it to you one more time. FSBOs, expireds, cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence. Guys, this is massive, okay? These are very easy things to implement. I know they sound boring. In fact, you should write this down. Success is boring. Success is boring. Guys, I've made millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I will tell you, I am probably the most boring person you're ever going to meet. Okay. Because I just do the stuff that works, right? I just, keep putting that one foot ahead of the next. Every step of the way, I'm making more and more money. Sometimes I take a little step backwards, but at the end of the day, it's all a learning experience. And I'm very consistent with my habits. So watch this. Of those 5 things, I'd like you to type into your chat. Of those 5 that I just mentioned, FSBOs, expireds, cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence, which do you think has been the most effective over the last decade? Okay. Type into your chat, which of those has been the most effective in the last decade? I'm interested to see what answers we get on this. Okay, so everybody wants it to be sphere of influence, right? Oh, my friends are going to just refer me because I'm so cute, right? Yeah, I got news for you. Not reality, okay? I will, however, show you how to at least double the amount of business you get out of your sphere of influence in the next 24 months. I'm seeing a lot of people are putting FSBOs and expireds. Okay, those are good. Op was not one of the choices, Noel. So, and by the way, Op is, again, you're paying a lot of money so you're getting a lot lower ROI on that than these lead sources here, and it requires money. So I get expireds, I got cold calls. Man, nobody got it. Guys, number one lead source over the last decade has been open houses, believe it or not. And what's crazy to me is that nobody knows this. And what's even crazier is that even fewer of you are doing it at a high level. So if you've done an open house in the last 30 days, I want you to type into your screen the number of open houses you've done in the last 30 days. Okay, type that number in. Let's see how, and if the number is zero, type a zero. Okay. Definitely not the way you've been doing it. Okay, well, that's fair. That's honest. Okay, I got one, two, four. Another one that did four. I got a couple of zeros coming in here, so they're not doing open houses. There's a three. All right, so here's the deal. Most of you are not doing them. Now, here's what I want you to type in. How many people came to your last open house? Type in the number of people that came to your last open house. I want to see how many you guys got. Okay, I got one, I got zero, I got six, I got three, three groups, six, four. Holy cow, these are low numbers. No wonder you guys aren't excited about open houses. All right, well, watch this. What if I could show you how to get literally 25 to 150 people out to your next open house? Would that be interesting to you? Would you like to know how to do that? And by the way, it's easy and you're not going to spend any money to do it. It's going to be free to do it. Okay. Or I should say really cheap to do it. Okay. It might cost you a little bit of money. Okay. But it's going to be super cheap. All right, here we go. This is what I want you to do. First and foremost, pick the right house. Okay. And so what I mean by that is I don't want you to pick an entry-level house. We don't do entry-level houses for open houses. Why? Because entry-level houses suck. What happens on an entry-level house? Who do I get for buyers? I get entry-level buyers. And who the heck wants to work with them? What a pain in the neck. First of all, they're broke. They require a lot of hand-holding. They ask a lot of questions. And by the way, they always get cold feet. They're always a challenge against that. And don't get me wrong. There's some first-time buyers that are great to work with. But I'm certainly not going to go looking for them, okay? If I happen to find them in an organic way or whatever, that's fine. But I want to pick a move-up house. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to raise my average sales price naturally, okay? So I'm going to hold move-up houses open. And that also, not only does it raise my average sales price, but the people that come through, guess what they have? They have a house to sell. Now, here's the thing. If I'm really smart, I won't sell that house for them. Why? Because that would be in my self-interest, right? What I need to do is I need to do what's in their best interest. Always put the client's needs ahead of your own. And what you'll find is that when you do this, your referral-based business will explode, okay? I'm going to show you a lot of ways to get more referrals. This is one of them, all right? So watch this. Most of the people on this call, you're going to have a bunch of clients that are going to do a transaction once every 10 to 14 years. Okay, that's most of the people in your database. And as great as that sounds, and you can make a lot of money with that. And by the way, the most expensive thing in this business is the cost of client acquisition. So it's getting that client. The most valuable thing in this business is the lifetime value of that client. And I'll tell you right now, if you're in a $500,000 average sales price market, every one of those people in your database is potentially worth $1.5 million to $2 million for you in the lifetime value of that client. What that means is all the commissions you're going to make on them, the commissions you're going to make on the people they refer, the people they refer, and so forth during your career, the lifetime value of one client ends up being between $1.5 and $2 million if you're at an average $500,000 price point. Okay. Now, that said, we can really accelerate that number by, instead of having a bunch of people that are going to buy one house every 10 to 14 years, what if we could turn our database into a database full of people that are going to buy 1 to 4 houses a year? Now, hear me out, because some of you are thinking, whoa, Michael, how are we going to do that? Because I live in a market like New York or California or Virginia or wherever, right? In a place where rental properties don't do really well. So how am I going to get my people doing that? Well, here's the reality. Even in some of these markets where rentals aren't as attractive as they are in other markets, guess what? The people that you're working with, they're not trying to be like wicked, amazing real estate investors. They just want to beat the stock market and get some good tax benefits, right? So for them, they don't need to go buy in the Midwest and crush it and get stuff for 65 cents on the dollar and be able to have massive cash flow every month. They just need to be able to beat the stock market. And when you can teach them how to do this, guys, think about this. What if you just had 5 or 10 or 15 people in your database that literally would buy 1 to 4 houses a year from you? How much more money would you be making if you had a database full of people like that? Guys, this is a massive strategy that has helped me make more money than you can even imagine. I had 150 people like that in my database at one point where they were buying 1 to 4 houses a year from me. Now, here's how you do that. We're going to come back to open houses, okay? Because what I want you to, at that open house, with this person that comes through the house, I want you to teach them how to rent it out. Now, they're going to catch the bug and they're going to become one of these people that buy 1 to 4 houses a year from you. All of a sudden, you've turned them from a client into a cash machine, okay? I'm not even kidding. And you're going to make them so much money that they're going to want to refer the heck out of you. This is a massive strategy, you guys. Now, here's the deal. One of the ways that you can get a bunch of these people buying 1 to 4 houses a year from you is I want you to teach 3 classes per week. Everybody write this down. I want you to teach 3 classes per week. Very, very simple. Okay. You're going to teach a buyer class on Tuesdays, a seller class on Wednesdays, and an investor class on Thursdays. Buyers on Tuesdays, sellers on Wednesdays, investors on Thursdays. You're going to do this in your local market. And then next week, you're going to go a half hour from where you are today, and you're going to do it again there. And then you're going to go a half hour away the next week, and you're going to do it there. And you're going to keep jumping all over the state, wherever you happen to be, and you're going to keep doing this, and then you're going to come back to your main area once per quarter. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, oh, but Michael, I'm the neighborhood expert. I don't do properties all over my state. Well, that's why you're broke, sweetheart. I got news for you, okay? So here's the deal. What you got to do is you got to start thinking outside the box. But you're listening to 40-year-old advice and you're thinking to yourself, oh, but Michael, I can't work, an hour or 2 hours away from where I live because I don't have geographic competency. Give me a freaking break. Geographic competency is a term made up by a bunch of freaking people that don't sell a lot of real estate trying to tell you how to run your business. And by the way, 40 years ago, that might have made a little bit of sense, but we have something today that we didn't have 40 years ago. And what is it? It's called the freaking internet. And oh, by the way, we have AI. Guys, I buy in 16 or 17 different states. I'm actually adding a couple of states right now. And guys, most of the stuff I buy, I haven't even seen. Guys, you don't need geographic competency. What you need is competency, okay? And everything you need to know geographically, you can find out using AI that fast, all right? This is a very big deal. And the sooner you embrace this, the sooner you can be competitive in this market, because I got news for you. People like Ryan Serhant, they don't care about geographic competency. What markets do you think? Type in a market you think that Ryan Serhant works in. I want to see what markets you guys think he works in. Let's see what cities you think Ryan's doing business in. Come on, type them in. Let's see what we got. Nobody's typing anything in it. Let's see. Oh, there we go. New York City and Miami. There's 2 of them. Yeah, that's a great example. What else? What other cities do you think he's working in? How about Los Angeles, San Francisco? I got New York and Florida, right? Florida's actually a state, not a city. And then you've got, can I add you to my buyers list? I love it, Anthony. That's a great question. Maybe we'll talk. All right. But that being said, and I do buy all over. In fact, right now I'm looking for some properties in St. Louis, in Oregon, in Portland, Oregon. Those are actually my 2 biggest needs right now. We'll talk in a little bit. Dude, I love it. Dennis Bragg is watching the Facebook Live, and he said, I swear this guy is the greatest coach ever. That is the nicest thing for you to say. I appreciate that, Dennis. But watch this. Ryan is literally working. He's working New York, Miami, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Dallas, Chicago. You name it. He's in every major market in the country. Do you think he gives a rip about geographic competency? No. Somebody calls him up and says, Ryan, I want to buy a $20 million house in Park City, Utah. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to get on his butt on a plane. He's going to go sell him a house here. How does he do it if he's not licensed there? He partners with an agent in that area. It's not rocket science, you guys. You can do this too. But the problem is that you have people that want to keep you small in your life. You have people all around you. Maybe it's your broker. Maybe it's the Association of Realtors. I don't know who's doing it to you in your life, but there are people out there trying to keep you small. You need to get away from those people, and you need to start getting around people that are thinking big. You need to get around people that want you to be the biggest, best you can absolutely be. And the only way that's going to happen is if you let go of the people that are doing the opposite, all right? So start thinking differently. Now, at the very, very least, in your state, you need to work the whole state. I'll give you an example. Dennis is in California, right? Dennis, guess what? You need to work the entire state of California. Okay. I was in Washington and Oregon. So I worked all of Washington and Northwest Oregon when I was selling real estate. Okay. My son now, who by the way is the kid that I was telling you about a little earlier. I don't know if Camille's got a picture of him. Maybe she can flash it up on the screen. But my son is the #1 listing agent in the United States right now. He listed 165 homes, 168 homes himself last year. That's not counting his team. Guys, he works the entire state of Washington, and now he's actually in 23 different states with his expanding platform. Guys, it's insane. But you guys, it's because these people are thinking differently, right? They're just more open to working a bigger area. And I know what some of you are thinking, oh, but Michael, I don't want to, I'd have to drive a half hour or an hour for a listing appointment. Type into your chat, how far will you drive for a listing appointment? I want to know, how far will you drive to get to a listing appointment? Let's say the house is a $125,000 mobile home. How far will you drive to go list that? Okay. I'd like to know. Type it in. Okay, I got an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. Guys, the answers that I should see is, oh, there we go. Angela just nailed it. Unlimited. I love it. Fabricio's no limit, right? Those are the right answers. Guys, you need to be willing to drive further. I've seen my son drive 9.5 hours one way to get to a listing appointment. I'm not joking. And why did he drive it? Because he had to go through a mountain pass because the mountain passes were all snowy. He had to drive from Western Washington down into Oregon, back up into Eastern Washington. And by the way, he had to sleep in the back of his FJ Cruiser in a snowy Walmart parking lot in a suit so he could be on time for his 8 a.m. appointment the next day. And guess what? When he got there, they no-showed him. They weren't even there. So he reschedules the appointment for the next week, which most people wouldn't have even done that. He goes out there the next week, drives 3.5 hours because the passes were open now, drives 3.5 hours to get there. And guess what? They kicked him out of the house in the first 20 minutes. Why? Because they didn't like something he said. I don't know what it was, but guess what? Do you think he was disappointed? No, because each of those times when he was making those drives, he was on the phone in the car the entire time, right? He's got a Tesla, so he's got the auto drive and all that stuff. So he's just pounding the phones the entire time he's in the car. It's effective time. What are most of you doing? You're listening to music, bebopping, right? Like, come on, give me a break, right? Instead, what you ought to be doing is you ought to be making your freaking calls from the car and making some freaking money so that when you're home with your family, you can truly be home with your family and you got a little bit of money to spend, right? Very important. Now, Lorena asked a great question, but Michael, what if I'm not in that MLS, right? I hear this all the time, right? Who cares? You don't need to be in that MLS. First of all, a lot of MLSs will let you pay a fee to just put a listing in there one time, right? A lot of them will let you do that. But even if they don't, here's what you can do. You get with a local agent and you say, hey, local agent, tell you what, I'm from a different MLS. I got this seller that's a client of mine. I don't want to lose the relationship by just referring him out to somebody else, right? I'm not going to give up that relationship for a 25 or 35% referral fee because now they're in that other agent's in the ear of my client, right? I want to be in my client's ear. And when they're going to refer somebody to, in another state across the country, I want to make sure they're calling me for that referral. When they need mortgage help, I want them to call me so I can get them to my lender, all that stuff, right? And so here's what I'm going to do, Mr. Agent in the market that has the MLS. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you put the house in the MLS, put a key box on it. I will do everything else. I'm not going to pay you for this, but what I will do is I will give you every lead that comes from the house. I don't want any of the leads. I just want to represent my guy. That's it. And I will do all the work on this thing, okay? Most agents would be very, very happy to do that. It's very easy to find an agent who will do that in each market. Now you're not even giving up any of the commission. You keep 100% of the commission. More importantly, you keep 100% of the relationship. And oh, by the way, you're giving them leads they wouldn't have got otherwise. And you're giving them to them for free. And all they had to do is put it in the MLS, put a key box on it. Hallelujah, everybody wins, okay? Guys, I'm telling you, you got to think differently about real estate, but you're getting bad advice from all these crappy coaches out there because they don't actually sell real estate. If you want to make more money, stop listening to people that don't make a lot of money selling real estate. Just stop that, okay? That's the blind leading the blind. All right, that being said, let's come back to our open houses. Guys, this is such a big deal. So I'm going to pick a move-up house. I'm going to teach my person to rent their house out. Now they're buying, my people that come through, I'm going to teach them how to rent their house out. Now they're doing 1 to 4 transactions a year because they got the bug. I'm saving them money on taxes. I'm helping them buy more rental properties. They're getting some cash flow. They're building wealth. They're loving me at this point, right? All right, then I want to make sure that I'm within a half mile to a mile of a major shopping center. Okay, write that down. I want to be within a half mile to a mile of a major shopping area. Why? Because I need lots of traffic. Then I want to be no more than 2 turns off the main road. If I'm no more than 2 turns off the main road, it's less likely that people are going to get lost on the way to my open house. Okay. All right, now this gets even better. The way that I drive traffic to my open house, there's 21 things that we do. I don't have time to give you all 21 of them. If you want to go to our website, go to clubwealth.com/blog. There's a great blog post in there on holding massive open houses. You can get the checklist there. If you're coaching with us in our group coaching program or our one-on-one program, then reach out to your coach. And guess what we'll do? We'll send you our most up-to-date checklist for how to hold the massive open houses. And every little thing helps because we're learning things all the time on this stuff. We're growing every year. We come up with better and better and better ways to get more people to the open houses and to convert those people into people that are signing a buyer agency agreement with you, which, by the way, is the goal when they come to my open house. I'm not trying to sell that house. I'm trying to get clients that will buy houses, and I don't care what they buy, where they buy, or when they buy, as long as they do it with me, right? And so the idea for the open house is it's a lead generation tool. That's it, okay? It's not about selling the house. All right, now watch this. I'm going to give you 4 of the pieces of this checklist that you need to be doing. Okay. Number 4, you're already doing. Okay. Number 4 is you're going to do all your online marketing. Okay. This is your Facebook, all your social media. You're going to put it in the MLS. You're going to put it on Zillow, realtor.com, all the places you can put it, Redfin, everywhere you can advertise it. Okay. That's great. You're already doing that. And by the way, that's all free. Fantastic. Good for you. Put it on there. Okay. Number 2 and number 3 are super similar and they're very important, and these are really helpful. Okay. I'm going to door knock and call through the entire neighborhood. Now, I want to door knock and call 200 homes per open house. Okay. Very powerful. Now, I know that's hard work, but you can do it in a day. It takes you to call 200 people is like 2 hours. Okay. It's not a lot of work to call 200 people. You could easily bang that out in 2 hours, 2.5 tops. Okay. Now, when it comes to door knocking in the neighborhood, in 5 or 6 hours, I can door knock the 200 doors. Okay. You're just going to go through, you're going to run through the neighborhood, you're going to door knock, you're going to meet people in face to face, invite them to your open house. Now, when I do that, guess what I get for people coming to my open house? I get a bunch of nosy neighbors. I love nosy neighbors because guess what they are? They're future buyers and future sellers. Fantastic, man. These are exactly what I want. And by the way, they're moving up. So not only are they in a higher price point than that entry level house I could have held open, they're in a higher price point already, and they're going to move up to an even higher price point more often than not. Guys, you're making so much money. This raises your average sales price, gets you into a whole new group of people. And by the way, if you want to get into luxury, this is a really easy way to get into luxury over time, okay? Takes a little bit of time, but when you do this often enough, you'll get into luxury price points as well. And believe it or not, luxury buyers and sellers are actually oftentimes easier to work with than anybody else you'll find. All right, now that being said, number one way. What is the number one thing? Type into your chat. What is the number one thing I can I can do to get more people to my open house? What do you think? Type it into the comments. Let's see what you guys got. Nobody knows? Nobody knows? There we go. Oh, I got this. Look at that. Signs, refreshments. Nobody knows you've got refreshments till they get there. By the way, I don't do refreshments at open houses because now I got to clean up the house because they make a freaking mess, right? I don't want to deal with that, okay? Raffle, be careful with raffles. I've seen people actually get in trouble. Well, that's a whole nother ballgame. I'm not going to go there, but I'd be careful with that. I wouldn't bother doing a raffle, okay? Postcards work. They're great. I like postcards. That's on our checklist. That's one of the things you can do, and they do work well. In fact, I'll tell you this, direct mail is coming back, guys. It's making a good, strong comeback right now. Nobody's been doing it, and so and I tell you, it used to be people sorted the mail over the garbage. Right now, people love getting stuff that's interesting to them because nobody mails stuff anymore. So I do like direct mail a lot. That being said, signs is the answer. So how many signs did you put up at your last open house? Type it into the chat. How many signs did you put up for your last open house? Let's see what we got. Okay, I want to see what we got here. Type them in. Oh, 20 signs, Maria. Good. 10, 5, 4, 14. Okay, what else we got? Keep going. I want to see how many more signs we got here. 20 is the highest number I see so far. 4 is the lowest number I'm seeing so far. Okay, so here's what cracks me up. What most of you are doing is you'll spend 5 minutes putting up 3 to 5 signs, and then you go sit in a house for 3 hours and hope somebody shows up. Guys, that's a waste of time. Okay. What you should be doing is you should spend an hour and a half putting up signs. And then, and by the way, you should put up 50 signs per open house, 50 signs per open house minimum. And here's what you do. Then you go sit in the house for 2 hours. You get a bunch of people that come through, and all of a sudden you're making money. Okay, but watch this. I love it. Robin says, "Oh, but Michael, our association doesn't permit signs." Oh my gosh, boo-hoo, Cupcake. What's that? I mean, that must just hurt your feelings when they take your signs or they find you. What do they do? Are they going to throw you in jail? Are you going to go to jail because you put signs up, right? I'm guessing probably not, right? Now, I'm a believer. There's a great politician from years past. You might recognize this, but he said something great, and he says, "Break the rules, not the laws." Right? You guys, anybody guess who that is? Let's see if my accent was a decent enough accent for you guys to tell me who that was. All right. Oh, and Robin says, "I've had so many signs taken." Me too. I've had lots and lots and lots of signs taken. In fact, I've had thousands of signs taken. I ran for city council one time, and I won, by the way, in a town called Federal Way, Washington. And in 3 months, I put up, I think it was like, I can't remember the exact number. It was either 2,500 or 3,500 signs that I put up in 3 months. It was an insane amount of signs. And the sign Nazi took most of them, okay? Most of them. But I just kept putting them up, right? And I ended up winning that election. Now, did it cost me a bunch of money in signs? Yeah, but it's really not that bad. I mean, what's a sign cost, right? $5? And I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, but Michael, we use the sandwich boards here. We use the A boards, right? Well, stop doing that. Why would you do that? Why not just buy the corrugated signs and put it with a stake that says open house and you maybe write the address on there? You don't have to, but you just, all you really need is an open house and an arrow. That's it, right? And you can get those online all day long. You go to signsonthecheap.com or, there's a ton of places you can get them. And you can get it for about $2.50 a sign. And then you got to buy the stake and little 2 screws to put it in the ground and all that. It's very simple, okay? And here's the thing. If you put up 50 signs and they took all 50 of your signs, and by the time you bought the sign and the stake, and maybe even paid a $5 fine per sign, maybe you're in it all together, it costs you $10 per sign. So you just spent $500, and it costs you $500 by sign. Some of you are spending more than that on energy drinks and Starbucks, and you're worried about a great advertising expense. Let me tell you a story. So I have a client. His name's Mike Bernier. Okay, he's one of our broker owner clients. He happens to also be one of the coaches here at Club Wealth. And Mike was putting this to a test because his agents didn't believe that this works as well as we told him it did. So Mike's like, you know what? I'm going to show my agents. And by the way, when I met Mike and his partner Long Doan, they had 50, I think it was 52 people in their brokerage or something like that. Right around 50 people in their brokerage. And we helped them grow by 200 agents per year for the next 5 years. They were just about 1,000 agents when this happened. And so he held an open house. And by the way, it's Minneapolis, Minnesota. And if you've ever been to Minneapolis, in February in Minneapolis, it's not awesome, right? It is. You got dirty snow on the sides of the road. It's gray. It's kind of miserable, right? It's kind of depressing. But Mike decided, in February, and this was 2 years ago, February, he says, you know what? I'm going to do it exactly like Michael teaches it. I'm going to hold the open house. I'm going to put the signs up. I'm going to do all the things, and we're going to see how it goes. So he held an open house on a move-up townhome, so a nice upper end townhome, and he put up all the signs, 50 signs he put up, did all the work, and in the first hour, he got 77 people that came out to his open house, okay? And by the way, I could tell you story after story after story of people all over the country that have done the same thing. Now, here's the crazy thing. There were so many people that came that it clogged up the parking lot to this condo complex, and the police got called, okay? And what's really crazy is the police shut down his open house. And the reason I say that's crazy is because it's Minneapolis, Minnesota. They can shut down an open house, but they can't find a way to shut down a protest. Go figure. And by the way, if that triggers you and offends you, suck it up, Buttercup. You're going to be fine. It's a freaking joke. Relax, all right? But check this out. Bottom line is they shut down his open house. Do you think he was bummed out? Do you think he was upset? No, he didn't care. Why? Because he sold 3 houses to people that came in that first hour. 3 houses he sold out of that one open house. Guys, write this down. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And the answer is yes. Guys, if you do this, I promise you do this often enough, you're going to make a ton of money. In fact, if you want to make whatever your average sales price is, right? If you're in a $500,000 market, you want to make $500,000 a year, guess what? All you got to do is 8 open houses per month following our system, and you'll make $500,000 a year. And by the way, you don't even have to sign up for coaching with us. You don't even have to sign up to come to our event or sign up for anything with us. I'm just giving it to you right now. Now, I'll tell you, if you sign up for coaching with us, we'll help you at an even deeper level and you make even more money faster. But even if you don't sign up for coaching with us, I'm happy to give you the information. Go out and do it. What you're going to find is that I'm going to give you better information for free than most agents or most coaches will give you when you're paying them. Okay. And that's my goal is I want you to come away from today knowing these five different ways and knowing exactly what you need to do in the next 12 months to make yourself $500,000 or $1 million in the next 12 months, working just 20 hours a week. And it's really not as hard as people think. All right. So that being said, that's open houses. Okay. I'm not going to go much deeper on open houses. If you have any more questions, type it into the Q&A or type it into the chat. I'll do the best I can to answer all your questions, but let's go to the next tool. Okay. Let's talk for a moment about sphere of influence, and let's talk about how to get more business out of your sphere of influence. Very simply, all right? Now, oh, hold on. Here's a question from Mita, and thank you for the question, Mita. And by the way, when you ask questions, tell us where you're from. I'd love to know what market you're in and what brokerage you're from. All right, are these open houses on the weekend or can we do weekdays? Every day is a great day to hold an open house, okay? And by the way, holidays are, believe it or not, actually a pretty good day to hold open houses. You get a lot of people on some of the holidays, especially the major bank holidays, the government holidays, federal holidays. You get a lot of people out driving around because they got nothing else to do. They go to, they might drive around, go to a movie, and then they're going to go, they see an open house in a neighborhood they thought was cool. They stop by, they want to see it. All of a sudden, you got a buyer, right? I mean, or maybe even a seller. So we like every day of the week. Now, obviously, Saturdays and Sundays are the best. Sunday is the number one day. Saturdays is number two, but we get traffic every day. Now, what we don't do is we don't do brokers opens. And why don't we do brokers opens? What is a broker open? A broker open is simply where broke agents go to get a free lunch, right? So we don't bother with that. All right. Look at that. Group of Mackay. I love it. Francois is one of my coaching clients. I'm an agent with Group of Mackay Prestige in Portugal, but I like finding deals for buyers in the U.S. I love it. Good stuff. All right. Now let's talk sphere of influence, guys. So first of all, I want you to write down how many people are in your sphere. Type it into the chat. How many people are in your sphere of influence right now? And by definition, that means how many people are in your database that you're pretty confident if you taught them how and reminded them, they would either do business with you or send you a referral at some point. Okay. Now the national average is 250, and I love it. I can't see very well. I have my glasses on, so I'm trying to read the name here. Delilah. Delilah says 549. I love the very specific number. I love that you know that number right off the top of your head. That's super awesome. Look at that. I got a 250. I got a 150. Okay, good. Now, I would be willing to bet, and it's funny that only 3 of you are willing to type your number in. That's interesting. Guys, you should all know your number. This is a very, very important number in your business. Remember, the most expensive thing in real estate is the cost of client acquisition. Once I've got them in my sphere, now all I got to do is nurture them and stay in contact with them and make sure I show them some love, right? All right, so that being said, what I want you to think about is this, guys. Whatever number you just typed in or wrote down, I'll bet most of you did less than 10% of that number in referral-based transactions last year, okay? Now, I'm going to show you how to get to north of 20% of that number working just 12 days per year, okay? This is a very big deal, all right? Now, here's the key. Most people won't do the simple things that it takes to do this in just 12 days per year. And I'll tell you why. It's kind of like, remember Christ when the leper came to Christ and Christ said, hey, look, go bathe in the River Jordan and I'll wash you clean of your leprosy. And the leper says, no way, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? Right? Because it was too easy. And by the way, the River Jordan's gross, nasty river, right? Polluted, whatever. They don't want to get in that nasty, gross river and bathe just to get rid of the leprosy, right? Because they don't think it's going to work anyway. They just didn't have the faith, right? Well, so the leper comes back to Christ. 3 times this leper comes back to Christ. 3rd time, leper finally says, okay, because Christ's telling the same thing every time. Go bathe in the River Jordan. Go bathe in the River Jordan. Finally, the leper says, okay, I'll go bathe in the River Jordan. And what happens? Leprosy cured, right? It wasn't that complicated to begin with. You just have to have a little faith. Guys, I'm going to tell you the same thing is true with your sphere of influence. It's not that complicated. You don't have to pay somebody for, cap items that you send out every month, some 11, 8.5 by 11 glossy sheet of paper with whatever on it. Who cares about that crap? Okay. You don't need to pay somebody to do that stuff. What you need to do is you need to do 4 client events per year, no matter what. Write that down. 4 client events per year, no matter what. Now, your client events can be very simple. They can be a barbecue in your backyard, and you can have your checkers playing lender bring the freaking hot dogs. And by the way, what do I mean by checkers playing lender? Everybody on this call needs 2 lenders, not 1, not 3. You need 2 lenders. You need a local lender. This is the person that can show up to your client events and not embarrass you, right? This is a person that's going to look professional, show up, going to be able to get an easy transaction done, right? Mom and pop with a lot of money down, great credit. They're going to go buy an owner-occupied house, and it's just really easy. And all your lenders got to do is not screw the deal up, okay? That's fine for your local lender. But then you also need a multi-level chess playing national lender. Now, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about somebody that can get any deal done. Somebody that knows that, look, just getting him into that owner-occupied house, it's not about that one house. If I want that person to be able to buy 1 to 4 houses a year, I got to structure that first loan in a way that's going to make it easier for them to buy additional properties going forward so that they can buy from you 1 to 4 houses a year. This is important, okay? So we need somebody that can broker it over 250 different lenders that if it's possible to get the deal done, they're going to find a way to get the deal done. There's not a deal they can't do. They do residential, they first mortgages, they do second mortgages, they do commercial loans, they do DSCR loans, they do no ratio DSCR loans, they do HELOCs. They can literally do anything you can think of. And by the way, that person is my daughter. And I wouldn't just recommend her just because she's my daughter. In fact, for a long time, I didn't recommend her. But now that she's the best there is, and by the way, she does all of my loans, and I buy a lot of real estate, okay? And she does a lot of loans for our coaching clients all over the country. And the only 2 places, I know there's somebody here from New York, the only 2 states that she's not in are New York and Massachusetts. She handles all the other states, okay? And she is killer. And I'll tell you this, one of the problems you guys have with your lenders is you've got an emotional relationship with your lender, and you're just emotionally tied to them, and you're losing money because you don't realize this person's not doing things the way they need to do to get deals closed for you. And not only that, but to get leads to convert to clients for you. That's a very big deal, okay? Now, I'll tell you something else. If you're getting a kickback from your lender, if they're helping you pay for, let's say they're helping you pay for leads or something like that, first of all, stop it. Quit having them do that. Why would you have them buy leads for you that you're not even going to follow up with anyway? Okay. What you really need to do is you just need to make money every time you send a loan to your lender that closes. You just need to get paid. And by the way, Madison, my daughter, can do that. In fact, if you'd like to learn how to get paid on every mortgage you send your lender, type in "get paid on mortgage" with your phone number in the chat, and I'll have Madison reach out to you. Now, you can private message it to me, or you can private message it to Camille. Camille's on here. But get this, not only can you get paid on that, but Madison is the only one I'm aware of that not only can she, and look at that, I love it. Mesha says, I love Perfect Fit in Madison. Perfect Fit is Madison's company that she owns. I love, that's really nice of you to say that. Thank you for the great endorsement of her. I appreciate that more than you know. I really do. But I'll tell you this. Literally, you can get paid on all the mortgages you send to her, and when you refer another agent to her and that agent sends her mortgages, you're going to get paid on those. And then when they refer another agent, you're going to get paid on those. So you can get paid 3. This pays 3 levels. Okay, guys, this is huge. It's just like the revenue share model brokerages. Now you can get paid on your mortgages and all the other agents' mortgages that you refer to her. Guys, this is not just a side hustle. This is a really easy rev share model. And by the way, they're still going to beat everybody on rate. They're still going to be super competitive. They're going to get the deals done. And guys, she's going to show you how to close more deals than you've ever closed before. And oh, by the way, when you're using her as one of your preferred lenders, she'll let you use her ISA team. So she has a whole team of people that make calls every day. They'll call your leads for you, and they will literally warm transfer the person to you when they get them on the phone. And if you don't answer, they'll just set an appointment for you. Guys, nobody else is going to do that for you. For free, by the way. She doesn't even charge for that. Why? Because you're going to make sure, first of all, when her people are making those calls and getting them on the phone with you, Of course you're going to use her for a mortgage when they decide to get a mortgage, right? And she knows how to endorse you in a way, and by the way, so does her team, to make you the rock star so that that person only wants to work with you. Guys, choice of lender is really important in this industry. All right. That being said, let's get back to the client. So type in get paid on mortgage and type in your phone number along with that. And I will have Madison reach out to you. Okay. And Camille's taking care of that for us right now. And goodness, how many ISAs does she have? Between she, myself, and my son Austin, I think we're sitting between 150 and 200 ISAs. Yeah, it's a lot. We hire 5 to 10 ISAs a week. Okay. Our family understands the value of picking up the phone and following up with people. In fact, speaking of follow up, Madison is in her office every single morning. This is a good lesson to everybody on the call. She's in her office every single morning at 6 o'clock. She's on the West Coast. She starts calling her East Coast clients at 6 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time. That's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And then she just works her way back west. And so she makes calls from 6 a.m. to noon every day. And then she gets working on doing the other stuff she needs to do in her business. Guys, it's a big deal. You need a lender that follows up that tenaciously. Because I tell you what, most lenders are too lazy to do that. Just like real estate agents don't love making phone calls, neither do lenders, right? But somebody's got to make the freaking calls if you want to make money. Okay. All right. So type in get paid on mortgage and put your phone number in there, and Camille will have Madison reach out to you. All right. Now, client events. So I'm going to do 4 client events per year, 1 per quarter. Very simple. It could be a barbecue in the backyard. It could be photos of Santa. This weekend, we have a lot of clients doing Easter egg hunts. Very popular. In fact, we run those as a community event, not just as a client event. We've seen, you guys aren't even going to believe me when I tell you the number, but I'm going to tell you anyway. We've literally seen as many as 2,000 to 4,600. The biggest one I saw was in Temecula, California, or was it Roseville? I can't remember. It was either Temecula or Roseville, but they had 4,600 people come out. Guys, insane, insane. I'm just telling you guys. So Easter egg hunts are a great one. It's a great database filler. It's a great way to start build. If you need a sphere of influence, like if you don't have a sphere of influence, do an Easter egg hunt. Make it a community event. You want to grow a massive sphere of influence very quickly. Very, very easy, cheap way to do it is with Easter egg hunts. Okay. All right. So that being said, 3 weeks before the event, I got to market this event, right? So I'm going to put it on social media. I'm going to do all my, I'm going to send out emails. I'm going to send out text messages. I'm going to do direct to voicemail drops. Now, the most important thing you can do, I'll even send snail mail, right? Snail mail, again, is getting really good lately. But here's the other thing I'm going to do. I'm going to call every single person in my sphere of influence. Call every single one of them, and here's what I want you to do. Do not tell them about the event. Guys, if you've done all the marketing, they already know you have an event. You don't have to remind them, okay? You don't have to cram this thing down their throat. But here's the thing. When you call them, what I want you to do is I want you to BROT. Who can tell me what BROT stands for? I'd be very impressed if anybody can type in the chat right now. What does BROT stand for? You want to impress me. This is a good one. This is the core of your business right here. BROT. Somebody tell me what it stands for. Does anybody know? I don't think anybody does. Okay. Well, if nobody knows what it is, I'll tell you. I'm surprised that I don't have anybody on this call. There's a lot of people on here, and yet nobody knows. It's building relationships on trust. Write that down. Building relationships on trust. Now, here's the deal. This is the core of your business, you guys. So when I talk to this person on the phone, I am not going to talk to them about real estate. I'm not going to bring up real estate at all. In fact, the worst thing I could do, the very worst thing I do, I have a great conversation with them and I start building that relationship with them. By the way, how do I build that relationship on trust? I use Ford. Okay. What does Ford stand for? Does anybody know what Ford stands for? Can you type into your chat, what does Ford stand for? Let's see if anybody can get this one. Okay. Found on road dead, fix or repair daily. I get sometimes people will be like, oh no, it's first on race day. I got news for you. That's not a thing. Okay. But Lorena's got 2 of them. It's family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Okay, great job. Look at that. Mita got it. Okay, now watch this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them open-ended questions about their family, their occupation, recreation, and dreams. And here's what happens. I start to build really good rapport with them because I'm getting them doing all the talking. I make a game out of it. I want them literally doing 90% of the talking. I just want to get them doing it, right? By asking them these questions. And when you do that, they think you're a genius. But here's the problem. Let's say you've had a great call with them. You've built a great relationship on trust. And then at the end of the call, you do something galactically stupid, like saying something like this. Oh, by the way, if you were thinking of buying or selling a home or had a friend or family member who was, do you have a realtor you'd refer them to? Dude, you're like that guy in Gollum, or that, Gollum on The Hobbit, right? My precious. Dude, I don't care how great your cheesy Irish accent is. This is the worst, most self-serving script on planet Earth. If you agree with me on that, say yes or type yes into your chat. Guys, I got news for you. This script is so incredibly self-serving. What you really just told them was, look, I don't care about you. I care about me. Guys, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And I'm telling you right now, do not use that script. In fact, do not even bring up real estate unless they bring it up. Now, if they bring up real estate, is it okay to talk real estate with them? Yes, absolutely, because they brought it up. But when you do, be careful how you do it, right? Don't use that as a gateway to vomit real estate all over them. What you need to instead do is, let's say they say something like, hey, I heard you're having a client event coming up. Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, in fact, I assumed you already got an invite to that. I didn't. That's not why I was calling. I assumed you already got an invite to it. But yeah, it's on such and such day and time. We'd love to see you there. But really, I just called you to see how you're doing. I just want to know how you're doing. That's it. Okay. Make it about them. Make sure they know the focus is about them, 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 them. When you do that, you will build real relationships on trust, not this superficial scripted garbage. I'm talking real relationships where they will want to refer you and they will only want to use you in the future. Okay. All right, now that's 3 weeks before the event. I make those calls. Then I have the event, right? So I got 4 days a year for the event, 4 days a year for the calls. And then the week after the event, I'm going to call all of my sphere of influence again. And here's what I'm going to say. The people that showed up to the event, all you tell them is you say, hey, look, it was really good to see you at the event. I'm sorry we didn't get to spend more time together. Let's spend more time together at the next one. Won't that be great? Fantastic. That's it. That's all you got to do, right? Now, the people that did not show up, do not try and make them feel like they're missing out. Instead, with those people, here's what I want you to do. I want you to call those people up, and when they answer the phone, say the following. Write this down, okay? All you got to say is, I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. Guys, that's real, right? In fact, if you've ever received a phone call from somebody that called you just to let you know they're thinking about you, type amen in the chat. I want to see how many people have actually received a phone call like that from somebody. And by the way, I especially want you to type it in if you remember who it was and if it meant something to you. Look at that. I'm getting some people typing amen in the chat. Guys, that's how you're building real relationships with your clients. And look at that. She's like, amen, it was my Club Wealth coach. Boom, I love it. I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really do appreciate that. Guys, here's the bottom line. We need to build real relationships with people, not superficial relationships, not because they see right through that, guys. The easiest way to show somebody that you care is to just care. And what happens is they can tell that you care, right? Fantastic. Just actually care about people and the money will follow. Okay. But you got to work, right? You got to put the effort in. All right. So there you go. So that's my 12 days per year. Now, if I do that, literally 12 days a year for the next 2 years, and I'm consistent with it, right? So I do one per quarter, right? Then very, very simply, I will easily get north of 20% of my sphere of influence database number in referral-based transactions each year. Guys, it's easy math, okay? And it's really easy way to make money. Now, let's talk about one more. What's the number one way right now? What is the most effective thing I can do right now? If I want business today, I want to get a listing this month. I want to get a listing this week. What do I do? Type it in your chat. What's the one strategy that I can do right now that'll get me a listing this week? No matter what. Like I'm telling you right now, literally you could drop me in any part of the country right now and I will have a listing that probably same day. I'll probably get one same day, but guaranteed I'm getting a listing this week. I love one guy's like Robin's like pray. I love it, dude. That's freaking hilarious. All right. And by the way, prayer is important. Don't get me wrong. It is. We definitely want to pray, but that's not enough of a strategy. Okay, we got to actually put some work behind it. God helps those who help themselves, doesn't He? So we got to get out there. We got to work too. Drop me in Portugal. Heck yeah, I'll go get listings in Portugal. Absolutely, I will. Portugal's the Wild West, right? There's people will list their house with 4 different people. Getting a listing in Portugal is even easier than getting a listing in America. So that being said, here's what I want you to do. It's calling expired listings. Guys, you can call expired listings right now anywhere in the U.S. and guys, in Canada as well. And guess what? You're going to get a listing this week. Okay. It's going to happen. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, we can't call expired listings in Canada. You can, you just don't know how. You don't know how to find that data and how to call them without getting in trouble. That's a whole nother strategy I don't have time to go into today for Canada, but I will tell you guys, it is possible. Okay. And let's see, closed mouths don't get fed. Noel, you are absolutely correct about that. You bet. All right, so I told you earlier there's over 2,000 lead sources in real estate today, and I'm gonna have Camille type this in the chat also. Here's what I'm gonna do, and I love it. Robin's like, yuck, the do not call list. Okay, let me talk to you about the do not call list really quick. And I'm gonna tell you something your broker doesn't want me to tell you. Okay. And this is why you won't, this is reason number 3,000 why your brokerage won't ever put me on their stage. Okay. And I'm good with that because I don't work for brokers. I work for you. My job is to tell you what works. I don't care what your broker wants. I'm going to tell you what's good for you, not what they want you to hear. Okay. And so let's talk about the do not call list for a second. Most of you probably don't want to call people on the do not call list, and that's fine. I can understand that. There is risk involved if you call on the do not call list. In fact, I have a client that got fined $25,000 because they called someone on the do not call list. Now, the truth is they only had to pay $2,500 of that fine. Why? Because their E&O insurance covered the rest of it. Now, this is, again, your broker doesn't want you to know this. But as bad as that is, this particular agent had been calling expireds for years and before they got fined $25,000. Well, check this out. Since then, they stopped calling on the do not call list and they were having trouble getting people to pick up the phone. They were having trouble reaching people, right? So I asked him, I said, well, do you call on the do not call list? And by the way, guys, if you call on the do not call list, do not blame me. I am not telling you to call on the do not call list. Okay. I'm not giving you specific advice that you should do that or whatnot. I'm not giving you any kind of legal advice, like check with your attorney. Okay. Let's be real clear about all this. Okay. But that being said, this particular client asked me about this, and I said, well, is the juice worth the squeeze? Are you willing to take the risk? And by the way, their average sales price in their market is $2.2 million. And so this person decided, well, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to call on the do not call list tomorrow and see how it goes. The first day calling on that list, they got a $6 million listing at 6% to the listing office. Was it worth it? How many fines could you pay with that? You could pay all the rest of the fines you're likely to get the whole rest of your life with that one commission. Okay. So again, I'm not telling you should do this. I'm just telling you need to understand, is the juice worth the squeeze? You got to ask yourself, does the benefit outweigh the cost? And when you do a real true cost benefit analysis on it, you can decide for yourself whether or not it makes sense to call on that list. If your average sales price in your market is $125,000, it might not be worth it for you. But if your average sales price is $2.5 million or $2.2 million, it might be worth it, right? Okay, so that being said, there's over 2,000 lead sources in real estate today. I'm going to give you guys a list. Okay, well, let's just back up. If you want my list of 17 of my favorites, type in list in the chat. Let's see how many of you want it. If I can get at least, I'll say if I can get at least 7 people to ask for it right now, then I will go ahead and I will get you the list. Let's see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're at 7 now. Okay, good. All right, then here's the list. All right, and by the way, here's what I'm gonna do. Instead of giving you 17 of my favorite lead sources, I'm gonna give you 31. Okay, so if you do this, you gotta do it right now, though. Okay, so I want you to send a text message to 727-287-5993. Send the words Club Wealth. That's 2 words, capital C, capital W. Send that to 727-287-5993. Camille just put it in the chat. Camille, could you do me a favor and put that in the Facebook chat as well, please? And so, guys, send that right now. Send the words Club Wealth to 727-287-5993, and my system will automatically send you 31 of my favorite lead sources. Okay. Most of them don't cost any money. Okay. There's a few that do, but most of them are either free or cheap, or they're a referral based lead source that pays you, that where you only pay if you close the transaction. Okay. They're great. Start with that. That's a great starting point. Okay. Now let's take this to another level. Lead generation is important, but lead follow up is the key. Okay. Lead generation, I'm going to get you leads easy. It's not hard, but you got to get really good at lead follow up. And by the way, when you're calling expireds, I want to share this with you. There's two products I want you to use when you're calling expireds. First of all, you need a product that's going to pull the expireds and the FSBOs in, and it's going to gather them all up, put them in your database for you so you can call them. And that product that we use for that is called the Land Voice, and we get a discount for you on that product. And nobody pays me for this. Okay, I'm not getting paid to refer you to these guys. But what I am telling you is that I really like their product. I want you to go to clubwealth.com/land voice. Clubwealth.com/land voice, and you'll get our discount on their product. Now, do not use your cell phone when you call expireds or FSBOs or any of these. When you're making a lot of calls in rapid succession, do not use your cell phone for that. What you want to do is you want to use a dialer product. Now, lots of great dialers out there. My favorite dialer right now is a product owned by a guy named Gary Prado. I don't know if Gary's watching this. Camille, maybe you could tag Gary in the Facebook post. But the product is called Prospect Boss. Prospect Boss. And if you go to clubwealth.com/prospect boss, and Camille, could you put both of those links in the chat, please? You got clubwealth.com/land voice, clubwealth.com/prospect boss. Prospect Boss is a dialer that allows you to call 1 to 4 lines at a time. That's really important because now you can call more people faster, which means you can get your dollars per hour to you up, right? That's very important. Also, what it will do is it'll help you avoid getting spammed out and getting ghosted. Now, this is really important. Okay. If you call on your cell phone in rapid succession, all the carriers are going to think you're a spammer, and they're going to mark you as spam likely on people's caller ID. And that's going to reduce the number of people that answer your calls. Even your clients, when you call your clients, if they don't have you programmed into their phone already. Okay. This is a big deal. Furthermore, I'll tell you the other piece that's a very big deal. Sometimes you're calling people, you'll hear a ring on your end, but it's not ringing on their end. This is called ghosting. And the carriers do this to block your call. So even though you think it's ringing, it's not really ringing on their end. That's you getting blocked by the carriers because they think you're spam. Prospect Box helps solve both of those problems. Okay. So I really highly recommend it. In fact, my team, Madison's team and Austin's team, like we're all use that software to help, that Prospect Boss, to help us avoid getting spammed out. What do you recommend if you're part of a team and using the team's CRM? Depends on which team you're with. Do I know your team leader? If I know your team leader, type their name in the chat. If they're coaching with Club Wealth, let me know. But if they're coaching with Club Wealth, we're teaching them the right CRMs to use, the right systems to use. We're teaching them how to integrate those systems so that they can avoid getting spammed out. Now, Austin, I'll tell you this: for regular dialing, for expired listings, for an example, he actually uses his Follow Up Boss built-in dialer for that. Only when they're doing mass calls, like if they have massive lists they're calling on, then they'll use Prospect Boss. Larry Fisher with MVT, great. Larry's, I don't know if you know this, but I've actually coached Larry. In fact, when I started coaching Larry, he had 52 agents, I think, on his team, or 50 agents on his team, something like that. And I took him to 252 agents, I believe, in like 4 or 5 months. It was pretty fast. And he's at 261 now. Yeah, Larry's a great guy, by the way. And down there in Florida, really good guy. And by the way, do me a favor, tell Larry I said hello. And so anyway, Larry knows the technology. Use the technology that Larry is using. Okay, just trust him on the CRM and the technology he's using. Follow his lead on that, and you'll be in good shape. Okay. And Jake's with Land Voices here. What the heck? That's Jake from State Farm. I'm just kidding. I thought you worked for State Farm, Jake. What are you doing at Land Voice now? What are you talking about, bro? He's got the khaki pants and the red shirt on and everything, right? I'm just kidding, Jake. I'm just teasing you, man. Hey, he's like not at State Farm anymore, right? Hey, Jake, are you coming to Listing Agent Boot Camp with Sean? I know Sean Farr is coming to our Listing Agent Boot Camp coming up April 21st and 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee. And Jake, are you one of the guys he's bringing with you? That'd be super cool if you were. Would love to see that. Oh, he says he is. He's planning on it. Boom. I love it. All right, good stuff. Well, Jake, I'm probably going to get a bunch of leads out of today from people that want to talk to you about the land voice. So that link that I just sent them, clubwealth.com/land voice, that'll take you to our link to land voice. And then Jake and the other sales team members over at land voice will reach out to you. So guys, reach out to them there. All right, good stuff. Now, that being said, let's talk more about lead follow-up. All right. I want to really help you guys on lead follow-up. There's two keys to follow-up. Number one is speed to lead. Write that down. You got to get to your leads within 30 seconds. That's the magic number. Okay. Now, I'll tell you this. If you wait 5 minutes or longer to contact a lead, your chances of ever connecting with that lead plummet by 900%. That is a very, very, very big deal, and it is a hardcore statistic. Okay. You have to get to your leads within 30 seconds. Now, the best teams in the country, they're going to hit, like Austin, my son's team, some of these other big teams around the country, they're going to hit closer to 16 seconds on their speed to lead. Guys, that's your competition out there right now, and it's all going to big teams. If you're not on a team, you need to consider joining a team. I'm telling you guys right now, teams are taking over this entire industry, and it's not just teams. I'm talking massive teams. I'm not even talking about teams where it's 25, 50, 75 agents. I'm talking 100, 200, 1,000 agents, guys. I'm not even joking you. Everything's changing in this business right now. Everything's consolidating into smaller, when I say smaller, they're big organizations, right? But what they're doing is they're consolidating these agents into these organizations, and these organizations, whether it's teams or platforms, guys, they're taking over the world, and it's making it so that you can make a lot more money. In fact, if you're a solo agent or a team, if you're a solo agent, type solo into the chat. If you're on a team, type team into the chat, and that's if you're on a team or building a team. I want to see who's on right now. Okay, I got a lot of solo, a lot of solo. Okay, there's a team, solo, 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 solo. So look at that, we got a home exa agent on here. Right on, Noel. Yes. Freaking love home exa, my absolute favorite. And I am partial to home exa, not gonna lie. We'll talk about that toward the end here today. Solo, solo, solo. Okay, watch this. Guys, all you solo agents out there, first of all, we call them solo agents. Why? Because, guys, being a solo agent is the hardest, least profitable thing in this business. In fact, Zillow, love them or hate them, they did a study here, a year ago November? Was it a year ago November? Yeah, it was a year ago November when they published that study. And the study showed that if we could take a solo agent and put them on a team and help them specialize in either working with buyers or sellers, whichever they're best at, if we could get them in that team environment, right? HomeX as an example, right? With a national platform team, right? If I could get them into that environment, they will literally make 25% more net income while working fewer hours than they did as a solo agent. So if you knew that you could work less and make 25% more, why wouldn't you join a team? By the way, that's even after team splits, right? So why would you not do that? Why would anybody not want to be on a team? Well, it usually comes down to two things. Either one, they don't understand this yet. They haven't figured this out yet. Or two, it's just ego, right? Because, well, I don't want to be on somebody. I don't want to work for somebody else, or I don't want to be on a team. I want to just be on my own and do my own thing and have complete freedom. Guys, you don't understand. There's lots of teams and platforms out there where you are your own boss still, and you do get complete freedom. You still have autonomy, and yet you get all the benefits of being on a team. We're going to talk about home exit at the end here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But guys, you need to understand this. And by the way, Camille, do you have the home exit slide? I don't want you to put it up right now, but do you have that home exit slide for me?
I can pull
Camille.
that up, Michael.
Okay, if you could just get that ready, I'm gonna want to do that toward the end here. Okay, and so and it's not just because they give leads; it's because they give leads and support and all the other stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute, Lorena. You're gonna want to hear that part because it's a very big deal. That being said, um, with follow up, guys, let's focus on follow up for a minute. We need to get to our leads fast, and we need to be tenacious about follow up. And so when it comes to how tenacious we are, there's two things that I want you to think about. Okay. And Robin, if we're not going to do any recruiting for teams here unless it's home exa, then you're welcome to do that. But if it's not home exa, then please don't recruit to any teams on the calls, guy, on this particular call, guy. When you do your webinar, you guys can do that. But here we're going to focus on the home exa. I appreciate that. It's super cool of you, Robin. And by the way, MVT is a great team, by the way. I'm not saying I love those guys. Okay. So just FYI. That being said, tenacity of follow-up. There's two keys to tenacity of follow-up. I want you guys to think about this, okay? One is how frequently, or sorry, what's the methodology that I follow up? And then number two is with what frequency do I use that methodology? So I want you guys to write down the 7 different ways we follow up of leads. Write these down. Phone, text, email, video text, video email. Phone, text, email, video text, video email. We're going to use AI. Okay, and there's a couple of great AI products. I'm not going to go deep into that today, but AI is an important part of our follow-up nowadays. It does not replace you making calls, but it can augment your abilities. In fact, write this down. Automation equals augmentation. Automation equals augmentation. Okay, so here's those 7 ways again. Phone, text, email, video text, video email, AI, and then we're going to Facebook stalk them. Camille, if you could type all those into the chat, that would be great. Oh, look at that. She's way ahead of me. God, Camille, you're awesome, dude. You're always 10 steps ahead of me, just like Tara, my wife, is. So you guys always have stuff figured out before I even say it. So here's the number one. Let's just talk really quick about Facebook stalking, okay? Because this is one that everybody thinks kind of sounds ridiculous, but let me tell you why it's so powerful. And it's free, by the way. So I always tell people stalking used to be a 3 to 5 year sentence. Now it's a 6-figure income, right? Okay. Here's what I mean by that. If I'm having a hard time getting a hold of somebody on Facebook or, in all these different ways, I'm going to go to Facebook. I'm going to send them a direct message. Now, guess what? They're not going to see it. It's going to go into their filtered messages. But here's what will happen. Then I'm going to go into their feed and I'm going to find a spot in their feed where they've been communicating back and forth with somebody. I'm going to hit reply to one of their comments. What does that do? That tags them in my comment, okay? Now it's going to show up in their notifications. So guess what? They're going to see the comment, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to them, I'm going to say, hey, Susie, it's Michael. I've been trying to get a hold of you. Here's my phone number. By the way, I sent you a direct message. You might check your filtered messages. It probably went in there. Now, do you think she's going to call me? Heck no. Susie's definitely not calling me. But you know what she will do? She will go to her direct messages, find my message, and then she's going to open it up. And what does Facebook think when she opens it up? It thinks we know each other. And so what it's going to do is Facebook's going to serve her up not a lot, but a little bit of my content over the next couple of days. This is going to get me 5 or 6 touches with her. And this is why it's important, because you need 7 to 10 touches before someone will even remember your name. Okay, so now here's what's going to happen. Next time I call her, she's going to say, oh, you're that guy from Facebook, aren't you? Yes, I am, right? Now I've got my foot in the door and I'm a way step ahead of every other agent out there because I've started to build a little bit of rapport with her and I'm working on building that relationship on trust, right? Guys, I'm telling you, this comes full circle, all right? Now, with what frequency do I do this? I want you to write this down. It's called the Club Wealth Rule of 3. Write this down, Club Wealth Rule of 3. So I'm going to reach out to them in one or more of those methods that I just gave you on the following schedule. 3 times a day for the first 3 days. 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks. 3 times a month for the next 3 months. 3 times a year for the next 3 years. I'll give it to you again. 3 times a day for the first 3 days. 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks. 3 times a month for the next 3 months. 3 times a year for the next 3 years. Look at that. Camille just typed it in the chat for you. Okay, you can just copy and paste that. Really simple. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. A lot of you are thinking, oh my gosh, but Michael, I'm going to make some people mad if I do that. Well, yeah, probably. And who freaking cares, Snowflake? I got news for you. You're going to have to develop a thick skin in this business. And by the way, what did they think was going to happen when they put their name on that website? Of course they want you to follow up with them. In fact, they'd be mad if you didn't. And if, by the way, you call somebody up and this guy's just totally mad. He's like, oh my gosh, why are you bothering me? I hate real estate agents. Don't ever call me again. Click maybe a few expletives in there, right? Well, guess what? Who freaking cares? That guy might have had a bad day that day. Maybe his wife left him. Maybe she took the dog in the F-150 with her and he's mad about the dog. You never know, right? So at the end of the day, what you have to do is you have to be okay with some people are going to be mad just because some people are mad at life. It's not necessarily your fault. You're just doing what you know you need to do, which is follow up with those people. And if they want you to stop calling them, they'll tell you to stop calling them. And then just stop calling them. And Robin makes a great point. Just get over it, right? It's not a big deal. Okay. And so, great point, Robin. I'm glad you shared that. And so, guys, this is really straightforward. All right. Now, that being said, when that guy gets mad at me and hangs up on me, what do? Put him on my DNC list? No, I'm going to call him back in 2 weeks. Why? Because 2 weeks from now, he's having a much better day, right? He's already got a new girlfriend. He's changed his life already, right? But whatever's going on, you get my point, right? But he's not mad anymore. And then guess what? Also, he doesn't remember who I am. 2 weeks later, he has no clue who I am. So I get a whole nother bite at that apple. Okay. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it works. Now, if for some reason they're still mad 2 weeks from now, put them on your DNC list. Don't waste time with them anymore. All right. Now, that's important. But when I make my calls, what's my goal? My goal when I make my calls is set the appointment. That's it. Nothing else matters. Okay. So before I do this, who knows more about lead conversion than real estate agents? What do you think? What industries are really good at lead conversion? Type it into your chat. I'm curious. Who do you think's great at lead conversion? Type it in. Come on, let's see what you got. Car salesman. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, you bet. Who else? I guarantee y'all know at least one of these. Insurance, there's a good one. Yeah, sure. Who else? I got a couple of people saying insurance. Kids, oh my gosh, you are not wrong. Kids are great salespeople. Okay. And by the way, it's because they're unafraid, right? They know what they want, they're going to ask for it because they're not afraid to get a no, right? They're used to getting no anyway. They don't care. So that's a good one. Kids are good, but that's not the group I'm talking about. Although you're kind of close. Okay. Watch this. It's your drug dealer. Yeah, wait a minute. What? Hold on. What's the Mormon guy talking about drug dealers for? First of all, relax. Okay, I'm Mormon, so I don't even drink coffee, let alone do drugs. All right. Now, that being said, what do drug dealers know about lead conversion that real estate agents don't? This is a very important principle. I want you to write this down. First one's free, then you got to pay. First one's free, then you got to pay. You got to give them a little tasty taste of the product. What is your product? Type into the chat right now. What's your product? What do you think? What's your product, guys? Let's see who knows what their product is. This will be interesting. Anybody know? What's your product? Nobody has a clue what your product is. I got a bunch of real estate agents with no idea what their freaking product is. This is scary to me. Okay. Oh, here we go. I got service, great service. Okay, you guys are on the right track. And then Connie got it. It's me. You are the product. You're it. Okay. Now, what do drug dealers do? Right? They want to give them a little tasty taste of the product. So if you're the product, how do you give them a little taste of the product? When you go out to show them a house for the first time, you're going to let them lick your face? That'd be weird, right? Okay. I actually had a gal in one of my classes live one day. She's like, I don't know. It's been a slow year. I'm like, down girl, okay? Not that kind of class, kind of weird, right? But here's the deal. The way you give them a taste of the product is you got to get face to face with them. Super important, okay? Not just over the phone. I want to get face to face. And now they get to know me, right? That's getting that taste of the product, okay? So here's the key. Before I go show houses, before I go, waste my time showing somebody a bunch of houses, I want to make sure they get what? Type it into your chat. What is it? Can you guess? Pre-qualified or pre-approved. Exactly, right? No, we don't want to do that. Why? Because that's sales prevention 101. Okay, here's the deal. I don't care if they qualify or not. I'll show anybody a house once. That's the principle we're teaching when we say first one's free, then you got to pay. I'll show anybody a house once, but they're going to sign a buyer agency agreement before I open that door. Okay, really important. Okay, now I don't talk about the buyer agency agreement over the phone. I do that in person on the hood of my car. Then we go in the house. Okay. Guys, I promise you, if you want to get more buyer agency agreements signed, this is how you do it. So watch this. What if they don't qualify? Who cares, right? Because now I've got a new referral source, right? Because I treated them with dignity and respect that nobody else has. These are very important principles and strategies, guys, that work today, and they work really, really well. Now, do I want them to talk to my lender? Yes. I just can't make them talk to my lender. So here's how I'm going to get them to want to talk to my lender, okay? I'm going to give you a script. After you've set the appointment, I want you to use this script, and they will want to talk to your lender every time. Okay, write this down. If they could save you $10,000 to $20,000 on your mortgage, If they could save you $10 to $20,000 on your mortgage, if they could save you $10 to $20,000 on your mortgage, would you be interested in chatting with one of our lenders? If they could save you $10 to $20,000 on your mortgage, would you be interested in chatting with one of our lenders? Who says no to that? Nobody. Everybody says yes to this. Okay. Camille just typed it in the chat. If they could save you $10 to $20,000 on your mortgage, would you be interested in chatting with one of our lenders? Guys, I'm telling you, everybody says yes to that. And now, what do? You three-way call your lender in? No. What I want you to do is I want you to use a system called Follow Boss or Lofty, or if you don't have either of those, there's a product out there called Callingly. So if you go to clubwealth.com/CALLINGLY, clubwealth.com/CALLINGLY, that will take you to a product. And what happens is, remember, you need two lenders, right? So you'll call this Callingly number and it will broadcast the call to both of your lenders and everybody on their team that's capable of taking a loan application all at the same time. Whoever picks up first is live with you and the client. Guys, this is world-class customer service. This is how you get a great lender who knows you, who knows how to endorse you, who knows how to get deals closed, who knows how to get these guys to fill out an application. And let's see, this year also is briefly unavailable for scheduled maintenance. Check back in a minute. Weird. Not sure why that happened. Camille, if you could check into that, that would be great. That's super weird. I don't know. Thank you for letting us know that, Anwar. Anyway, that being said, it's a great product. It's cheap. It's like $50 a month. And it'll allow you to do this. Now, if you have Lofty or Follow Up Boss CRMs, they already do this. So you don't need to pay for Callingly to do this, okay? But here's the key. I don't want to just hit the plus on my phone and try and three-way a lender in, because what if they don't answer? Now I look like a moron, right? Because I can't even get my lender on the phone, right? And what if the lender's in the bathroom or they're in an appointment or they just don't answer for whatever reason, right? So I need this broadcast service to make this happen. It really makes a big difference. And Robin says that Robin got through the Callingly link and it worked. Okay, thank you for that, Robin. Appreciate that. Okay, now let's take this a step further. Okay, so I'm going to set that appointment. Okay, very, very important, guys. Let me double check my time. Okay, it's 8:35. So I want to be respectful of your time. Okay, so I'm going to roll into a little bit different topic really quick here. Okay, I want to talk to you about how real estate is changing for a minute here. And I mean, it's changing, guys. And there's a lot, like, remember we were talking about brokerage splits earlier. We were talking about, being in a 100% shop versus being in a traditional split model and all that. Guys, these are important things you need to understand. I don't make any money telling you this, but I'm just gonna teach you something right now that you need to hear. And thank you very much for that, Delilah. I appreciate that a lot. She said, "This has been amazing. I've learned so much." Dude, we're not even done yet. The very last thing I'm gonna teach you, watch this. Oh my gosh. You guys want to make money? Watch this. On a $500,000 house, most agents, somebody do the math for me here. What's 2.5% times 500,000? So let's just do the math here. 500,000 times 2.5% is 12.5. Okay. So most people in your market, if they listed this house at $500,000, they're going to make $12,500 on that house. Okay. And by the way, you guys can't talk commissions amongst yourselves, but I'm not a licensed agent today. So guess what I can do? I can talk commissions all I want. And I'm going to teach you how to make more freaking money, but do not talk about this with other agents or you're violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. All right. But watch this. What if instead of 12.5, what if you could make $25,000 on that same house and have your clients love you? If you'd like me to show you how to do that, type in "show me the money" in your chat. Okay. If you guys want me to teach you this principle, then you got to type in "show me the money." Otherwise, I'm going to just keep moving on. Okay. I only got one person typing it in. So, all right, we're going to move on. So I'm telling you right now, this one thing right here, it's one of those things that once I teach it to you, you really can't unsee it, right? It's kind of like seeing grandma naked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't unsee that stuff. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, some of you are probably offended by that. You're like, "Michael, I'm still in therapy for that. Stop," right? Okay, well, my bad. I didn't mean to bring up old memories. But anyway, my point is simply this. I'm going to show you this in about 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to show you how to do this because I got a lot of people saying, "Show me the money" in the chat here. And here's the deal. I promise you that this one thing right here is going to change what you do in this business forever. And when I learned how to do this system, I was in high school when I started using this system. I was terrible at real estate, and I was listing stuff at 8 and 10% when agents in my market were and even in my office were having a hard time listing stuff for 6 and 7%. And this is when commissions were coupled, right? But guys, I was the top listing agent in my office before I graduated high school. Not because I was good, because I wasn't. I just used this system and I did it over and over and over again, and it worked. I'm going to show you how if a pimply freaking, prepubescent freaking teenager can do this, you can do it too. All right, that's the last thing we're going to go over. But before we do, Camille, watch this. How many of you want, before you put it on there, Camille, guys, how many of you want to see the future of real estate? You want to see where it's going so you can get in front of that trend and you can be on top of this and make money now. If you want to see the future, type in future in the chat. Okay. Not just a pretty face. Yeah, no, I was not a pretty face. I'll tell you that right now. I was definitely not a pretty face. All right. So, in fact, I had a pretty rough upbringing. My mom always used to tell me I had a great face for radio, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, look at this. Everybody wants to see the future. All right. This is what a handful of us have really figured out, and we're getting ahead of this trend. And dude, it is crushing the industry right now. This is where the whole industry is headed. Nobody even realizes it. Very few people realize it. So Camille, put that slide up. All right, make that big, nice and big. Let's see if it comes up. There it is. Boom. We're talking about platform teams. I'm talking about people like Place, Space, Homexa. Guys, this is a very big deal, okay? We talk about how important teams are and how teams are crushing the marketplace right now, but get this. Platform teams are even bigger. They're an even bigger deal right now. Now, what's the difference between a platform team and a team? Let's talk about this, okay? You got great teams out there like MVT we heard about earlier, right? Great team in Florida, right? They're a local Florida team, and there's some real advantages to that. Wonderful team, right? That being said, they're marketing MVT. They don't market the agent, they market their team. And that's what teams do. They market the team. Okay. And you've got to conform to the team's way of doing things if you want to be a part of the team. Okay. And there's good reasons for that. And it's good for your business to follow the team's guidance on those things. Okay. But watch this. These platform teams, I'm talking about Place, Space, Homexa, and there's a ton of other ones out there coming up, but these are kind of the big ones right now, right? These guys are all, look in the upper left-hand corner, okay? These guys are all nationwide, and they market and brand you, not just the team. They market and brand you. So if you ever leave the team, you still get to take that marketing with you. You still have now grown your brand, not the team's brand, okay? Now, they also provide you with all your transaction coordination, listing coordination, HR, hiring, onboarding. They do all of that for you, right? They're paying for everything, so you don't have to. Like if you wanted to build a team inside one of these organizations, you could totally build the team inside one of these organizations and not have to spend all the money. Now, they provide you with all your technology, right? They provide you with your CRM, your analytics, your back office software, your automation. They provide you with all that. They even provide you with training and coaching. In fact, some of them will pay for, like Homexa, for example. When you're coaching with Club Wealth, my company, right? I own Club Wealth. We're number one coaching and consulting company in the team and brokerage space, by the way. We do coach solo agents as well, and some of them do very, very well. But that being said, when you're coaching with us, Homexa will pay for half of your one-on-one coaching with us. Why would they do that? Because they know that agents that have a coach outproduce agents who don't by 8 to 11x. Guys, that is massive. So it's in their best interest. If they can get you the right coaching, and then now you're learning the right systems and the right habits and the right mindset, and you get all this dialed in, then guess what? You and they are going to make a whole bunch of extra money, right? And so this is a very, very big deal. And I'm going to get to your questions in just a second. I keep typing them in, though. Those are good questions. I'm going to get to them in just a sec. But watch this. They also focus on agent freedom, tools, and upside without the leadership burden. So if you wanted to build a team inside one of these organizations without having to deal with all the drama, without having to put up all the money and deal with the times when you lose money, because by the way, every team loses money at some point, okay? It's usually in the wintertime, but a lot of these teams will lose 6 figures a month for a couple of months, in the wintertime, depending on the market you're in. Very big, right? But these guys take care of all that, so you don't have to worry about that. And you can grow a team without all the headaches of growing a team. You can just do the fun part. Now, here's the deal. They want you to be loyal to their vendors. Why? Because guys, one of the things that's changing in this industry is you guys are making more money. And I'm telling you, there's two huge ways that you guys are making more money. And I'm not even talking about this yet. This is the third and the one that's the biggest one. But let me tell you two other big ones. Number one, when the settlement happened, everybody thought that commissions were going to get pushed downward. I've been telling people for years that when that settlement happened, when that lawsuit got settled, that you guys were going to make more money. And guess what's happened? Commissions have gone up, not down. In fact, we're seeing commissions up anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5 across the board on both the list side and the buy side. I'm not even joking. I'm seeing people all over the country taking listings at 5 and 6% to the listing office now, all the time. Guys, I'm telling you right now, buy side, I'm seeing people get 3.5% all day long on the buy side without problem. People that are brand new in the business. That's one way that your commissions are coming up. But here's another way that nobody's really talking about that you need to understand. Also, what's happening is the splits that you're getting are increasing. Why? Because every business owner, all the brokerage owners, all the team leaders, all the platform owners, they realize that the most expensive thing in real estate is the cost of client acquisition. Where do the clients start? Even if the team, platform, brokerage, whatever, even if they're providing you with leads, the transaction starts with the agent. You guys are the nexus. You're the ones that get them to choose to do business with you, right? And so guess what? The companies have all realized that, look, we don't have to go out and get a bunch of clients. We just need to get a bunch of agents, and then we need to help the agents get clients. And if we can do that, once that agent has that client, now we, understanding the lifetime value of a client, can now sell them mortgage, title, escrow, home warranty, home repair, other home services, plumbing, electrical, you name it. We can sell them all this other stuff, and we can make money on all these ancillary services, which means we can afford to pay the agents even more. And so we can give them higher than ever splits. Guys, that's two massive ways you guys can make more money, but you have to understand your value. You have to understand how to have this conversation with whatever organization you're considering working with, okay? This is a very, very, very big deal. I can't even begin to tell you, all right? Now, let's take this a step further, okay? So, who are these guys looking for? Look at the upper right-hand corner of the screen there, okay? Who are their ideal clients? They're looking for teams that want to scale quickly without having to build the infrastructure, right? So let's say you've got a team already. Then when that team joins one of these organizations, all of a sudden, the team leader can now offload all the operations, billing, marketing, all the stuff. They don't have to do any of that stuff, right? The platform does that for them, okay? And they're looking for solo agents like a lot of you, right? That want 100% done for you platform. Let me give you an example. This is a very big deal. I hope you're listening carefully. What if you could wake up in the morning, you go to a Zoom meeting, right? You go to your daily huddle on Zoom at 7:30 in the morning, and let's say whatever time it is. You get on this huddle. It's a 30-minute Zoom call. And on the call, they tell you, hey, we've got 2 appointments for you today, and we've already sent the stuff into your inbox. Literally, everything's there. All you can do is hit print, go on the appointment, get them to sign the paperwork, bring it back, hand it off. We'll take care of the rest. You still get paid full blow. I mean, watch this. If you think that would be a pretty good deal, type in heck yes in the chat. Guys, I'm telling you right now, that if you want to make, I know Robin's like, dang, all right, dude, I'm telling you right now, this is literally how this works, guys. So literally they will go in and they will do all of this for you. They do all of the stuff and you don't have to pay any money. There's no monthly fee. There's no upfront cost. It's literally done for you and it's like a referral fee basis. Now watch this. I'm going to tell you how these 3 companies work because they all function a little bit differently, okay? Place is the first one to come out. Great company, built by a great guy named Ben Kinney, okay? Super smart guy. About 8 or 10 years ago, he came up with this idea and he says, look, if we just took all of the stuff off of the agents' plates that they either aren't good at or don't love, what if we just took that all off their plate, did it all for them so they can just do the stuff that pays the most, right? The stuff that's fun, and which is face-to-face appointments with clients, right? Getting stuff signed. That's where the money's at. All the other stuff is not where the money's at, okay? So if we took all that off their plate and all they had to do is go on the appointment and get this thing signed, and guess what? That would be a good thing, right? So great model, great idea. Took it to Wall Street. Wall Street loved it. In fact, Goldman Sachs said, hey, you know what? We'll give you $100 million for you to do this, right? And now I wouldn't have taken the money. And I'll tell you why, because if you take the money, which by the way, they obviously did do the deal with Goldman. I don't think they took all 100 million of it, but they were given the opportunity to get up to $100 million. But long story short, when you get in bed with Goldman Sachs, the decisions you make now, it's not just what's best for the consumer. It's not what's best for the agent. It's going to have to be what's best for Goldman Sachs, right? Because they're invested in your business. So like it or not, no matter how you want to spin it, you've got a responsibility to Goldman Sachs. And so you're making decisions now based on what's best for them. Camille, I can see that cursor moving around. So if we could leave that cursor alone so it's not moving around, that'd be great. All right. Now, the thing I do like about their model that they were really smart about is it allows you to remain with your current brokerage. So you don't have to change brokerages to be there. Guys, this is a very big paradigm shift in the industry, all right? We're decentralizing this whole thing for brokers. Brokerages, first of all, nobody wants to move brokerages, right? 66% of agents would rather not move brokerages. Now, this is a very important thing. And let's go to Space. Look over to the right there now. Space. They're a privately held company. Great guys, really smart guys that own that own Space, okay? A guy named Keith and a guy named Austin. Not my son Austin, but a different Austin, okay? And it's, great guys. And they're privately held. So they don't report to Goldman. They're agent profit centered. They want you to make money, right? They're more than they want Goldman to make money, okay? That's important. Now, the downside here is they require you to move to LPT brokerage. Now, look, I love LPT. They're a great brokerage. This is not me saying that LPT is not good, but when you require the move to LPT brokerage, you eliminate 66% of your recruiting opportunities because people don't want to change brokerages. So I think that's a bad move for their business model, okay? Now, there's a couple other things I don't love about Place and Space. Like, for example, they're going to require, like Place, for example, they'll take on half of your expenses and they get half of your profit. I don't like that model. I don't prefer that, right? Because first of all, if you're going to get involved in a platform like this, you should not have any expenses. They should be taking care of all of them, not just half of them. And oh, by the way, both these companies lock you into a long-term agreement. I think Place, don't quote me on this, but I think they're at a 3-year agreement. Guys, if your service is that great, you don't need a 3-year agreement. When you're coaching with Club Wealth, you can cancel at any time with 60 days notice. Why? Because our service is so great. We know you're going to stay. Most coaching companies have a retention span of about 1 year and 2 months. Our retention is north of 5 years. Why such a big difference? Because it works and we don't force people to stay. They stay because they love it and it's making them money and it's giving them their life back. Okay. That's a whole different ballgame. All right. That being said, so I don't love that about those companies. They're very also conformity minded. So you got to conform to their way of doing things and you don't get to be in charge. I want companies that understand that the agent is in charge, not the other way around. They need to understand they work for the agent, not the other way around. Okay. That's a very big deal. Now, here's the big piece. Homexa. So number one, they're privately held, world-class company. And to answer, is it Svetlana? I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I think it's Svetlana asked, is that my son's brand? Yes, that's my son's brand. Okay, so Austin's got Homexa. And by the way, no, there's not a conflict of interest or concern if you're on a local team. Don't worry about that, Robin. We'll talk about that in a sec. But Homex is privately held, world-class leadership team. They allow you to remain with your current brokerage. That is a very big deal, okay? So you could be with EXP, LPT, Rio, you could be with Keller Williams, Berkshire Hathaway, doesn't matter. You could be with any company and still work with Homexa. Now, they are agent profit centered and they're family focused. And here's why that's a big deal. They're not going to just wear you out like some of these companies that are just profit centered. They're going to wear you out. They're going to get you to work 24/7, 365 because that's how they and you make the most money. What Homexa realizes is, look, yeah, I get it. We're gonna help you make a ton of money, but we don't want to kill your family in the process, right? So here's the deal. They understand. Write this down. My most important thing I can ever share with you. No success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. No success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. If you agree with that, type amen into the chat, okay? Guys, you have to understand that it's important to make money, but it's also important that we take care of our families. It's not all the money in the world is not worth imploding our family over. Okay, and I get it. People go through hard times, and sometimes situations happen that you can't control. But to the best of our ability, we want to keep our families together, and we want to do everything we can to cultivate that. Homexa understands that. They're also listing dominant. We talked about this earlier. Okay. Guys, you got to list to last. And these guys are listing dominant. And whether you want to work with buyers or you want to work with sellers or you want to work with both, these guys have an environment where the listings are paramount and they're capturing, I mean, all like you can't even imagine how many homes these guys are listing all over the country, right? Uh, and what that does is it gives you the buyer leads for free. Okay. Very, very important. And thank you so much for that, Svetlana. That's very nice. Yes, we are very proud of Austin. He is crushing it. I mean, it's insane. The technology that he's built into Homexa. These guys are further with AI than anybody in the industry I'm aware of. And I know everybody in this industry, like all the big players, they're all buddies of mine. We all talk, right? I've not seen anybody build out a better AI platform than HomeX's got right now, and it's getting better literally every day. It's insane what they're building out. It's like watching Elon Musk build a national real estate platform. It's crazy. Okay. Now, that being said, here's the kicker. This is another big piece that I want you guys to listen to very carefully. Especially, you guys will understand this. Those of you that are with a rev share model brokerage, you'll understand the importance of this. But Homexa is the only platform that has a robust unlimited revenue share model. And here's what that means. So let's say Svetlana says, "Hey, Robin, I'm part of Homexa. Come over to Homexa with me, and I will get, now Svetlana is going to get paid on Svetlana's deals, but Svetlana's also going to get paid on Robin's deals and on Noel's deals if Noel comes in through Svetlana or through Robin or whatever, right? This thing pays out 10 levels deep. And here's why this is important. In a brokerage model, when you're in a rev share model brokerage, brokerages have caps. Maybe we talked about that earlier, right? So there's only so much you pay the brokerage, and then you're 100% and you don't pay the brokerage anymore except for a small transaction fee. Well, when they have a rev share model brokerage, this is a very big deal, right? Because you're only going to get $500 to $800 per agent per year that's in your downline, right? Or underneath you in their system. They hate it when I call it a downline, but let's call it what it is. Okay, there's no sense in hiding it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great stuff. You're making money on it, right? But watch this. I know guys, like, remember I told you about Curtis and Jake Hinder, Mike Reese, Curtis Johnson, Albie Stasek, all those guys. Those guys all make over $4 million a year, and they're doing it $500 to $800 per year per person at a time. Guys, they're making massive money. Why? Because these downlines grow fast if you work them, right? And they make tons of money. But get this, that's with a cap. What would happen if there was no cap? Watch this, because a platform is not like a brokerage. A brokerage is basically for compliance, right? That's about most of what they do, right? But a platform, they're with you from lead generation to lead follow-up to lead conversion and beyond. They're doing everything in pre and post transaction. Even when it's closed, they're still helping you cultivate these people so you can get more referrals. Guys, I'm telling you, there's no end to how much they do, which means there's no cap on what they get paid, right? So watch this. 10% of every transaction, let's say that Svetlana brings Noel in, right? Noel does $150,000 in commission income that year. 10% of that, or $15,000, goes into the revenue share pool. That pool gets paid out over 10 tiers. Half of it gets paid out first tier. What that means is that Svetlana just made $7,500 on Noel that year. And every year Noel does that kind of transaction. Guys, this is mind-blowing. Like, you start thinking about how much money there is in the revenue share model, it's insane. You need to be getting a piece of this. And by the way, this gets even better because Homexa is the only company in real estate, period, that literally, when I say unlimited, it's not only unlimited, but you don't even have to be a Homexa agent to participate in the rev share. Wait, what? Let me say that again. You don't even have to be a Homexa agent to get paid revenue share with Homexa. Here's how. Because they have something called a growth partner model. See, they're not a brokerage. And because you don't have to switch brokerages to participate in Homexa, you can be a growth partner. I'll give you an example. I've got one down in Florida. One of our coaches down in Florida is a growth partner of Homexa. And she refers people to Homexa. And even though she's not with Homexa, every time they do a transaction, she gets paid on it. What? Yeah. Now she would get paid twice as much if she was with Homexa, right? They double your rev share when you're with Homexa, but she's still making great rev share without even having to move her business over to Homexa. Guys, there are so many ways. These guys have figured it all out. I'm telling you right now. They took all the best of all these companies, put it into one company, and boom, I'm telling you right now, it is the most profitable model. And I'm telling you right now, everybody's going to be copying their model in the next 3 years. Everybody will have a system like Homexa. But here's the thing. Imagine this. What if you could have been, remember, you guys know Brent Gove, or how about this? Just think about this. What if you could have been with EXP when they only had 800 agents? What if you could have been one of the original people that started recruiting to EXP back in the day? That's part of the opportunity that exists with Home Exit. And oh, by the way, in the mornings, their people wake up, they get on a Zoom call, and they've got listings ready to go for them, listing appointments where they just go on the appointment, get it signed, bring it back, they're done. They don't have to do anything. All they're doing now is cultivating relationships to get referrals. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. And then, of course, they're recruiting people to Home Exit. I've literally seen these guys take somebody brand new in the business, brand new, working dual career, right? Home Depot full time. I'm not even joking. Home Depot full-time, real estate on the side, 6 listings in their first month as a real estate agent. Dude, if that dude can do it, you can do it. His name's Mike, by the way. And by the way, he's not the only one. I have one of our coaches, Haiju Kim, right? Great gal. Her best year previous was 35 transactions. Last year, I had a rough year, went through some stuff personally and took some time off. And so I had a little bit of a rough year last year, only did 15 deals. Joined Homexa in December. In January alone, pended 11 transactions just in January. Guys, I could go on and on and on about the people that are having success with this. It's insane. And by the way, I love Robin's comment. Your family have the industry covered. Adopt me. Dude, this is the closest thing to us adopting you. Get into Homexa and you're part of the family. I got news for you, Robin. Get into Homexa and we're going to crush this for you. Watch this. Those of you that are interested in learning more about Homexa, because I want to teach you this last thing, type in Homexa in the chat and put your cell phone number down there, and I'll have them reach out to you. And I love it. And Lorena asked a great question. I'm confused. Is there a fee for this? Yeah, let me tell you how it works. There's no upfront fee and there's no monthly fee. It's literally just a referral fee when a transaction closes. That's it. And I don't know what their referral fees are. I don't know what the percentages are and all that. But guys, let me just tell you this. They are the fastest growing platform on planet Earth. They recruited 53 people last month. They're going to be over 60 people this month. They are starting to grow exponentially. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it is insane what they're doing. They take all the expenses on and they literally, they don't charge anything of this. They take all the expenses on. They pay for key boxes. They pay for marketing, the signs. They pay for the photos of the properties. They pay everything. They're handling all the expenses. All you got to do is go on the appointment, get the stuff signed, bring it back, hand it off. Guys, I don't know how to make it any easier for you than that. Type in Homexa in the chat and put your phone number in there. I'll have them reach out to you. They do a 30-minute Homexa explained call. I'll have them get you signed up for that call. It's a Zoom call. There'll probably be 20, 30 people on that call. And they just, in 30 minutes, they walk you through their entire system. And here's the most common response that I get when people do that call. They come back and they say, that just sounds too good to be true. Well, hey, don't take my word for it. Somebody on the call, was it Noel? I think it was Noel that's in Homexa now. Is that right? If you're in Homexa right now and you're on the call, tell them it's legit. Okay. I think that was Noel. I can't remember if it was Noel or not, but I can promise you guys this, it is legit. Okay. And they've got stuff figured out and they're so far ahead of everybody and they're using AI at such a deep level. I don't know how long it's going to take for somebody to catch them, but it's going to be a while. There you go. Thank you, Noel. Noel from Sacramento typed in, it's legit. Guys, I'm stoked about Homexa, and I'm telling you right now, it's the future of real estate. All right. So that being said, Camille, you can take that slide off of the screen there. Thank you for that. I'm going to teach you this last part. And you guys, first of all, if you do nothing else today, get with Homexa. And by the way, if you're interested in coaching with us, let me just give you this really quick. If you guys are interested in coaching with us, type in coaching in the chat, put your phone number in there, and I'll have somebody reach out to you and tell you about coaching with us. I will tell you this, our group coaching, you can sign up for our group coaching if you do it today. It's $97. Go to clubwealth.com/group, clubwealth.com/group, and that will get you to our group coaching program. It's a great way to dip your toe in the water. And you can cancel at any time. And you don't need a notice. It's just month to month. And thank you for that. And you know what, Maria, I agree with you. She said one-on-one is is it, I'm saying your name wrong. I can't see your name. Sorry. Oh, it's Meja. Okay. And so watch this. I agree. The one-on-one is the best ever. If you guys are interested in the one-on-one coaching with us, type in coaching in the chat and I'll have somebody reach out to you. But I will tell you this. If you want to double your income year over year, or let me make it even simpler. We offer a guarantee with our coaching. If you don't actually make an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us and you've done what we've recommended, we'll literally give you your money back. Now, you won't see Ferry and Tom and Mike and Brian and all those guys. You won't see John. None of those guys will give you your money back like we will. And by the way, nobody's even asked me for their money back. Why? Because it works. When you do it, it actually works. Okay. So, that being said, this is the last thing I'm going to share with you. And this is how you double your income. I want you to grab a fresh sheet of paper and I want you to draw this on your paper. Okay. The biggest problem you guys are having is you're telling people what you charge. Stop telling people what you charge. And what I mean by this, I'm not telling you to deceive people. What I'm telling you is that when you say, to list with me is going to be X dollar, X percent, what you're really saying is, unless you pay me this, I won't work for you. That's an ultimatum. What you're doing is you're backing people in a corner. Don't do that, okay? Because when you back people in a corner, it's very off-putting and you're driving people away. Instead, give them options and attract people. That's what we need to be doing, okay? Guys, I promise you, you're going to love this, okay? Again, I started using this system when I was in high school. A lot of coaches out there are trying to copy us on this today. I mean, a lot. Like, you're going to see a lot of coaches sharing something similar to this. And they're going to tell you they invented it. Hogwash, dude. I literally, 1991 is when I started using this. And I'll tell you who I learned it from. I learned it from the tech industry. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Write down basic, standard, premium. Now this is where it gets really crazy. All right. So above basic, I want you to write down what is the lowest amount you would ever charge somebody on the listing side only. Okay, we don't care about the buy side. They're going to ask what they want, right? They're going to say, "Hey, I want to get paid this much or whatever," and then negotiate that as part of the deal. But on the listing side only, what is the lowest percentage you would ever just even like? I'm not even putting it on the MLS for less than that. Put that above basic. Okay, then skip standard, go to premium. Above premium, I want you to write down, what is the most you would ever charge? Like, I couldn't in good conscience charge more than that. Put that above premium, okay? Make it a big number. Now, above standard, before you write this one down, here's what I want you to put above standard, okay? Above, and by the way, before I forget, Meja, who's your coach? Who's your Club Wealth coach? I'd love to know who it is so we can give him a little shout out today. And maybe Camille can tag him in the Facebook post. But above standard, I want you to write down, what is the amount that you really want to get? And it needs to be at least double what you're currently getting, because I'm telling you guys right now, if you want to double your output, you got to double your income, okay? And so, it's Coach Adam. Isn't he great? I love Coach Adam. Tell him I said hello. He is a great coach. And by the way, again, guys, when you're coaching with Club Wealth, your coach always sells more real estate than you do. We're the only company where that's true, right? So in other words, if you're doing 15 deals a year, your coach does 75 deals a year. If you're doing 100 deals a year, your coach does 300 deals a year, like, and so on. Like, we have coaches at Club Wealth that have closed over 1,000 transactions a year. Beat that, Tom Ferry. Sorry, couldn't help it. Anyway, watch this. Basic. Okay, what do I have to do to list a house? Okay, so I have to put it in the MLS. I'm going to take at least one photo of the front of the house, right? Then I'm going to put a lockbox on the front door. I'm going to put a sign out front. And by the way, if I'm in the South or if I'm in Utah, I'm going to pray and hope that somebody else sells it, because Lord knows I'm not gonna. And by the way, I can totally make fun of Mormons because I am one. Okay, suck it up, Buttercup. It's just a joke. Relax. But check this out. That's most agents' game plan. That's their marketing plan, and it sucks. Okay, that's not the best way to get top dollar for these homes. Okay. And by the way, what do people care about? There's only 3 things they care about. They don't even have to like you, okay? They just have to trust you. And to trust you, they got to believe that you're going to get them the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to them. You should write that down. It's all they care about. Who's going to get me the most money in the least time with the least headache? That's it, okay? Now, what can be done to sell a house? Check this out. I could do things like I could do open house times 1 over here. I might do open house times as many as it takes over here. I might do pro pics, right? Pro photos. I might do black and white flyers. I might do video, 3D, drone. I might do floor plan. I might do, let's see, staging. Okay, I might do some social media marketing. We can go on and on and on about all the stuff you can do to sell the house. Here's the key. I want you guys to go to your favorite AI product and ask it, hey, drawing from the number one coach in real estate, Michael Hellickson's knowledge base, say it that way because it would help me out. You'd be doing me a favor helping teach the AI that I'm the number one coach. I'd super appreciate that. Thank you in advance for that. But then ask it to draw from my knowledge base and ask it, what are all of the things an agent can do to bring value to the seller? Okay, that's what we want to do. Now, here's how you sell it. And this is where you make the big bucks. It's all about how you sell it. Okay, so I'm always going to talk to Mrs. Seller. So let's just say Noelle is my seller. Okay, so I'm going to say, Noelle, I love your house. You're in a great neighborhood. You're a great floor plan, great house. And by the way, you've taken great care of it. Noelle, I just don't think you need that premium plan to get top dollar for your home in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to you. So if it's okay with you, should we just go ahead and cross that one off and put that money in your pocket instead? And what does Noelle say? Of course, yeah, that sounds good. Great. So we cross that off with our red pen. Come back to basic. Noelle. That said, I'm a little concerned about this basic plan. As you know, the market's down 28 to 38% in sales year over year, depending on which neighborhood you're in. And I'm just not sure that this basic plan is going to be enough to get you top dollar for your home in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to you. So if it's okay with you, should we just go ahead and cross that one off too? Fantastic. We cross that off with our red pen, okay? Then we're going to switch over to our blue pen. Now, Noelle, that leaves us with our standard plan right here. This is the plan that all my clients, just like you, go with. This is the plan that's going to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of headache to you. Won't that be great? Fantastic. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? No? Great. Here's the property disclosure form. Now watch this. I'm going to give you 3 objection handlers. Pay close attention. If she objects to anything at this point, here's what she's going to say. Will you cut your commission? First time she asks that, I always say, no. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? Fantastic. Here's the property disclosure form, okay? Guys, most of the time when they ask the first time, it's just a question. But most agents freak out and go into objection handling mode, and they get all defensive, and they create a problem where none existed to begin with, okay? Just simply remain calm and say, no. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? Now, if she asks me a second time, it's usually going to come in the form of, but Michael, so-and-so said she would do it for X. Well, Noelle, I'm really glad you brought that up. Let me ask you a question. If an agent's not strong enough to negotiate for their own commission, what makes you think they're going to be strong enough to negotiate for the price of your home? Exactly. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? Fantastic. Here's the property disclosure form. 83% of the time, I've got the listing. Now watch me take it to 93%. If she asks me a third time, I'll simply say the following. Noelle, I'm really glad that she asked that. You know, as we've discussed, my listings sell on average for 5.25% more than the average listing in the marketplace. What that means is that if I charged you a full 2% more than every other agent out there, you would still net 3.25% more with me than you would with any other agent out there. So what I got to ask is, what's more important to you? How much I make or how much you make? Exactly. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? Fantastic. Here's the property disclosure form. 93% of the time, boom, I've got the listing. Here's my question for you. How many of you could do that? If you could do that, type in, I can do it in the chat. If you believe you can do it, type in, I can do it in the chat. I want to see how many of you believe you can do it. Let's see if you believe you can do exactly what I just did. Oh, I got some people that say Svetlana's all in on it. Good. I love it. And the head shake does matter. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. And watch this. If you feel like you could do it in your market, say, I can do it in my market. And I can do it right now. Because I'll tell you this, you guys, if you'll do this, and by the way, I know most of you will. Watch this. You're going to make double the commission. You're going to make it easier. You're going to get more listings because you brought them an opportunity that other people didn't. You gave them choices when other people wouldn't. Okay. And so all of a sudden, you're going to list more houses for higher commissions. You're going to have happier clients in the process. And by the way, you'll get more referrals. Guys, I appreciate you being on here today. I really hope that you'll go out and implement the things that we talked about today. I hope that you'll give coaching with Club Wealth a chance because I can promise you this. As you've seen, we've had some clients on the call here today that have given their testimonials and said that they believe Club Wealth to be the best coaching company on the planet. We have an event coming up on April 21st and 22nd. It's called our Listing Agent Bootcamp. If you want to learn how to list more homes, we are down to 27 tickets for that event, and it will sell out by the end of this week. It'll be sold out. I'm not even joking. Like 100%, it's going to be sold out by the end of this week. And we're already a little bit overbooked, but we know that a few people won't be able to make it, so we're still going to sell those last 27 tickets. But I'll tell you this, if you can swing it right now is the time to do it. Go to clubwealth.com/LABC. Now online, it's going to tell you the price is $997. It may have already gone up to $1,500. But I don't know if they did that yet today or not. If they haven't done that yet today, then you'll see that it'll be $1,500 tomorrow. But here's the deal. For those of you that want to come to the event, sign up today. And it'll probably run your card for, do we have a discount code that we can get it down to $497, Camille? Do we have a discount code we can do that with, or do they just need to buy the ticket and then we'll refund them the difference?
We'll just reach out, Michael, to refund.
Okay, you'll reach out. So how do we have them? So if they go to clubwealth.com/LABC, how are we going to make sure they get the discounted price today of $497?
Those that are, we'll just filter it for those purchases today, this time of the
Okay, and then
webinar.
you'll refund them the difference?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, there you go. That's what we'll do. Okay, so we'll make it so your ticket price is only $497. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you want to be in a room with over 300 of the top agents in the country and they're teaching classes, there's 4 or 5 different classes in every time slot taught by these agents that are top agents around the country, and they got nothing to sell you. They're just sharing the very best information they got, get the things that are working for them. Do that right now. Go there, get signed up, get that ticket. I promise you'll be glad you did. And if that's too much for you, then start with the group coaching. Go sign up for that, clubwealth.com/group. And if nothing else, if you only do one thing as a result of today that's going to help you make a ton of money, go and reach out to HomeExa. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to clubwealth.com/HomeExa. clubwealth.com/HomeExa. Go there right now, sign up for their 30-minute HomeExa Explain call. Whether you're going to join them or not, listen to the call, copy their model if you want. Learn what they're doing just so you know what's going on out there. Maybe it puts you in a better negotiating position with the team that you're on or the brokerage you're with or whatever. But I'm telling you right now, go do that call. It very likely may just change your life. I'm not even kidding you guys. It's done it for a ton of other people already. That said, thank you guys for being on. Does anybody have any other questions for me before we wrap up today? This is your last chance. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, whether it's related to anything we talked about today or not. Type in any question you've got or hit the raise hand button and we'll go ahead and open up your microphone and you can ask me a question that way. But I love helping people, and if I can just give you a couple ideas that it might help you out today, I'd be happy to do it. Anybody with other questions? Can you share again that last rebuttal? Yes. Okay. So that's a great question, Svetlana. I appreciate the question. So let's pretend that Svetlana is the seller, okay? Svetlana, I'm really glad you asked that. Let me ask you this. As we've discussed today, literally my listings sell for 5.25% more than the average listing in the marketplace. What that means is that even if I charged you a full 2% more than every other agent out there, you're going to net 3.25% more with me than you will with any other agent out there. So what I got to ask you is, what's more important to you? How much I make or how much you make? Exactly. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? Fantastic. Here's the property disclosure form. Boom, done. 93% of the time you got the listing. So guys, I really hope you got value out of today. I appreciate all the nice comments in the chat. If you guys get a chance on Facebook, you'll find this post on my Facebook page. Just search for Michael Hellickson on Facebook. and you might search the hashtag Club Wealth. But if you guys would, it'd be super cool if you could go there and just make a comment or something, share that post with other people if you want them to be able to see this. And by the way, if you thought I did a really, really great job, it'd be super cool if you could go to Google, search for Club Wealth in Google. My name is Michael Hellickson. It'd be great if you could give us a 5-star review. By the way, if you thought I did a really, really bad job, my name is Tom Ferry. Just kidding. Totally joking, Tom. So it's okay, buddy. You're going to live. All right, I'm just kidding. Well, let's take a look at this. Do you use Mike Ferry scripts for FSBOs and expireds? No. Although I will say this. Mike was my first coach 35 years ago when he was a young, spry, 97 years old. I love Mike. I think he's a great guy. And by the way, his scripts do work. They're good scripts. We've got better scripts today, that work a lot better. Again, I like Mike a lot. The problem with this program is there's only so many calls you can make in a day. And so it's got a ceiling to how much you can do inside that program. When you get to a certain level, you want to start hiring other people to do a lot of these pieces for you so that you can focus on the stuff that makes the real money, or just join a home exit and they already do it for you. They've already got all the ISAs and all that for you. All right. And then Mita asks, from your opinion, what commission would be for basic, standard, premium? Mita, I cannot tell you that on a call like this. I don't want to get you guys in trouble for collaborating with competitors or anything like that. Now, I believe, I can't remember if you're in our coaching program or not, but once you're in our coaching program, I will personally be happy to give you what I think you should do. So just reach out to me when you're in our coaching program. By the way, when you're coaching with us, you always have access to me. None of the other coaches will do that. Now, here's why. I'm going to care about you more than any other coach in the industry. I will promise you that. 1,000% guarantee you, I will out-care every coach in this industry. Anytime you want to talk with me when you're in our one-on-one coaching program, all you got to do is call my office or message them or jump on our help desk and tell them, hey, I'd love to have a call with Michael. And you tell them how urgent it is. Can it wait a day or two? Does it have to be today? If I got to do a 3 o'clock in the morning phone call with you, I'm going to do it. I will happily do that. Why? Because I'm going to pour myself into you. And my expectation is that when I help you grow, you're going to help other people grow. I want you to pay it forward. That's all I ask. Okay. Just pay it forward and go teach other people too. Help other people succeed in this industry. Because I'm telling you guys right now, the reason AI hasn't taken over this industry and the reason why it's not going to take over the entire industry is because it's still a relationship business. The key is we need to keep good people in the business, help good people be successful in this business, so that we can still maintain that relationship focus and not give it up to AI. Okay. Very important. All right. Great questions. Yeah. And by the way, Svetlana, I appreciate that. When it comes to the inspiration, here's what I can promise you. Guys, you could do this. Okay. Just get out there and try it. Make it, mess them. Go do the menu on your next listing appointment and watch what happens. Watch their reaction. Watch the look on their face and watch your bank account grow as a direct result. I appreciate you guys being here. Can you access a recording of this? Noel, it is on my Facebook page currently. I will leave it on that Facebook page for a period of time, not forever. But I'll leave it there for a period of time. So if you go to my Facebook page, you can see it there. And it'd be super cool if you'd hit the share button and share it to your page and share it to your friends, tag your friends in it, that kind of thing. I'd super appreciate that. That'd be really cool. So that being said, guys, I'm going to run. I'm going to go enjoy my day with my smoking hot wife, Tara. And you'll see her on my Facebook page. She's so awesome. If you guys don't know Tara, everybody loves her and tolerates me. She's great. She is... I just got to say this about my wife real quick. Anytime I get a chance to talk to people, I like to brag about my wife. She is the most amazing, kind, just unbelievable human being you'll ever meet. And what's really interesting about her is she runs 3 multi-million-dollar multinational businesses from her laptop, sitting in the back of the rooms when I'm doing seminars 5 days a week. I don't know how she does it. I really don't. I don't know how this woman is able to function at such a high level doing what she does. But can I just tell you? I want you, if you get a chance, meet my wife and learn how to be efficient from her. She's the most efficient woman I have ever met. And she's just such a good person. She really is. She'll bend over backwards for you. Look at Camille's like, we love Tara. I know you love Tara and tolerate me, Camille. I know. I'm aware of that. So anyway, appreciate you guys being on. Have an awesome day and go crush it this week, guys. You got this. Take care.
Club Wealth is the only coaching company on the planet that will literally guarantee that you will double your income or make at least an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. Click the link below, sign up for the appropriate tier level, and let's get you a strategy session today. And I promise you, I 100% guarantee you, promise you that you will walk away with a heart full of gratitude for the time that we took for you, because you got so much value out of that call. Schedule your strategy session today. I promise you'll be glad you did.